After dying in an accident caused by a manipulative girl, he awakens in another world, burdened by that memory. Now, as Toma, he leads a party in the Holy Empire and celebrates a completed mission at the Guild Tavern. Clay suggests spending the reward on spellbooks while Toma presents their earnings. Gornoff eagerly considers using his share for personal enjoyment. Despite different priorities, the trio remains united. After 2 years together, during their meal, Gornoff mentions a rumor about an A-class party that suddenly collapsed. Toma listens while holding his mug. The cause was not a monster, but a dispute triggered by a newly joined white mage. Soon after, the entire group disbanded. A waitress approaches their table, and Toma's collapse detection skill flashes a warning. Unease spreads through him. Clay reasons that the skill may simply be too sensitive within the tavern. Even so, Toma remains unsettled as talk of broken parties continues nearby. Confident in their teamwork, the trio believes nothing could break their party. While discussing their next dungeon, the tavern door suddenly opens, and a girl steps inside, asking for the White Oath. Introducing herself as Maria, a white mage, she formally requests to join their group. Excitement quickly overtakes Clay and Gornoff, who eagerly welcome her without hesitation. Toma watches their sudden change in attitude, recalling the earlier rumor about parties ruined by a white mage. Maria apologizes for approaching them so suddenly and asks why she should not request to join. She reveals that her former party expelled her without warning. The admission shocks the trio. Tears form as she explains being abandoned in a dungeon and left behind by her teammates. Moved by her story, Clay and Gornoff urge her to join them instead. Overwhelmed with relief, Maria eagerly promises to prove herself worthy of their trust. Maria presses her plea further, leaning close as she asks if she is truly unwelcome. Toma grows flustered by her bold approach. A sharp chill runs through him when his collapse detection skill reacts again, though he brushes it aside. The party agrees to give her a 1-week trial, assigning Clay and Gornoff to guide her. While the two eagerly surround her with attention, Maria quietly judges their naivety. By the next day, she walks beside Toma as they prepare for another dungeon expedition. Toma questions his companions, testing whether they notice anything strange about their behavior. Both deny any problem without hesitation. Moments later, he discovers they have removed their armor entirely. Their confidence remains unwavering. They proudly explain that they sold their equipment to purchase a new staff for Maria. Believing her healing magic makes them invincible, they prepare to enter the dungeon unprotected. Ignoring Maria's alarm, Toma reluctantly agrees to proceed despite the obvious danger. Maria studies the situation calmly, thinking the leader is Ni Fadevei while her upgraded staff proves effective. Suddenly, Toma senses a sharp chill linked to her presence and questions whether she connects to the party's instability. His alert instead reveals a nearby B-class monster, forcing him to confront the true threat. After defeating the creature, the team secures the dungeon's magic stones. Even with victory achieved, the uneasy sensation within Toma refuses to fade. Inside the dungeon, Maria kneels beside the collected magic stones, drawing attention with her bold manner while Toma watches cautiously. Unease grows in him as Clay and Gornoff become overly captivated, ignoring practical concerns. A sly smile crosses Maria's face as she eagerly asks to hold the harvested stones first. Suddenly, she stumbles forward and crashes into Toma, knocking him onto the ground. Entangled awkwardly, she claims she is unharmed while Toma struggles to process the situation. Maria apologizes sweetly while still leaning over Toma, claiming her fall was only clumsiness. A powerful chill surges through him again, even though no monsters appear nearby. Suspicion replaces embarrassment. As he helps her stand, a troubling memory resurfaces from his past life. He recalls another girl in Japan who acted the same way before disaster struck. The similarity unsettles him, as Maria's gentle smile hides intentions he cannot yet confirm. Toma finally recognizes the familiar pattern in Maria's behavior, and realizes he has seen it before. His collapse detection skill had been warning him about her from the start, not about monsters. In that moment, he understands she is the isekai version of the party destroyer from his past life. Shock and frustration surge through him as the danger becomes undeniable, certain that allowing her freedom will ruin everything. He concludes their group stands on the brink of collapse. When a monster lunges, Toma shields Maria instead of retreating, disrupting her expectation. Surprise flashes across her face. She studies him closely, realizing he has seen through her pattern and no longer reacts blindly. Feigning innocence, Maria claims she merely stumbled while Clay and Gornoff rush over in concern. The two remain completely unaware, trusting her without doubt, despite Toma's silent suspicion. Behind her gentle smile, Maria acknowledges his awareness, yet believes she still controls the situation. Maria's aura intensifies, revealing power comparable to an A-class threat. Toma senses the pressure and prepares himself. Determination replaces hesitation as he decides he will not allow his party to collapse again. Rather than confront her openly, he proposes a strategic battle of endurance between them. Later, both sides gather at the Guild Tavern, where their quiet rivalry begins under the guise of celebration. Inside the Guild Tavern, Toma notices his rabbit companion and another member already asleep. Maria watches him with a calm smile, making him wary, remembering his past life. He decides to stay alert and prepares a careful plan. Alternating water and wine, he eats seafood to remain conscious and steady. Maria realizes her attempt fails and moves closer, trying another tactic. Although prepared, Toma freezes when she presses against him, and his control begins to slip. Maria boldly climbs onto May's lap, pressing close while he blushes in shock. Leaning to his ear, she teases him and enjoys his flustered reaction as his thoughts begin to spiral. Elsewhere, their rabbit companion struggles inside a serpent's coils, declaring an ultimate attack. Overwhelmed, Toma forces himself to meditate, seeking calm by emptying his mind. With steady breathing, he regains composure, leaving Maria puzzled by his sudden tranquility. Toma steadies himself and believes he has endured Maria's attempts. Confidence rises as he drinks calmly, declaring silent victory. Soon after, dizziness strikes without warning. The room tilts while Maria politely refills his glass, hiding her intent, revealing her move. She admits placing a sleeping potion in the wine, praising his resistance. Strength fades rapidly, despite his efforts to stay conscious. Awareness returns in a strange room, his body weak and mind clouded, sensing imminent trouble. Toma wakes inside a love hotel, realizing he was dragged there while unconscious. Panic spreads as he understands the trap. Heavy limbs slow him, and he imagines rumors spreading if they are seen together at dawn. Determined to protect his reputation, he forces his body to move and plans an escape before sunrise. Maria stares in disbelief when he suddenly rises, questioning why the drug has not subdued him. Frustration grows as she realizes his willpower alone has ruined her carefully prepared scheme. Maria waits confidently, believing the sleeping effect will soon claim him if she stalls a little longer. Sweat runs down Tomei's face as drowsiness overwhelms him, yet he insists on leaving while he can still stand, blocking his path. Maria refuses to let him escape and reminds him of her plan for the night. His strength finally gives out, and he collapses onto the bed, despite resisting until the end, watching him sleep. Maria sighs in relief, convinced her hard-earned victory is secure, while Toma lies motionless. Maria plans to accuse him and secure her advantage once morning comes. Fading consciousness fills his mind with regret, yet memories of his comrades remind him why he endured this far. At that moment, his rabbit companion activates a powerful recovery skill, restoring Toma's condition completely. Energy surges through his body as he roars back to awareness, shocking Maria. Standing behind her with renewed strength, he overturns the situation, leaving her stunned. Facing him again, Maria trembles in frustration as Toma firmly rejects her scheme and refuses to yield. Shock spreads across her face when she realizes even the sleeping potion failed to subdue him. Desperation pushes her to consider a reckless method, believing direct action is her final option. Meanwhile, Toma studies her carefully, searching for any weakness he can exploit. As tension peaks, Maria steps forward with resolve, startling him with her sudden decisive move. Cornered and sweating, Maria abandons tricks and considers confronting him directly. Toma realizes he cannot rely on meditation this time. Determination hardens in both of them as they face each other across the bed, each refusing to yield. Suddenly, Maria hesitates and stops moving, uncertainty flashing in her eyes. Embarrassment replaces confidence when she understands his calm reaction. Flustered and defensive, she lashes out, while Toma coolly questions her resolve. Maria demands to know why he interferes, while Toma admits he only wanted to understand her true self. She drops her usual charm, revealing irritation and refusing to explain her motives. Calmly, he points out that her talent as a white mage makes deception unnecessary. Recalling past betrayal, Toma confesses he once trusted someone who lied, and he regrets never seeing her honesty. With steady resolve, he accepts Maria's flaws and states he still wants her in the party. Maria admits that working alone has been difficult, her voice losing its usual confidence. She confesses she once helped ruin another party, hiding behind charm and deception. Under the moonlight, Toma tells her he already considers her a comrade. Despite everything, flustered by his sincerity, she masks her embarrassment with teasing remarks. Turning away, she tells him to prepare for tomorrow's dungeon, quietly accepting his invitation to stay. Maria moves closer again, trying to regain control with bold confidence, while Toma braces himself. Flustered reactions escalate as she presses forward, attempting to overwhelm him at close range. In the struggle, balance is lost and both crash toward the window in sudden chaos. Glass shatters as Toma seizes the chance to escape, vanishing into the night below. Left behind, Maria receives a report by messenger, while the city buzzes with rumors of the incident. Reading the report, she realizes Toma shares her Earth origins. In the royal capital of Kiribati, a young adventurer lives among heroes summoned to defeat the Demon King, though he doubts he belongs beside them. A newly joined white mage stays close to him, her playful charm hiding a disruptive influence. Without warning, she appears behind him, studying his startled reaction with clear amusement. The following day, she approaches again as if nothing happened. When she recalls yesterday's incident, his fragile peace begins to crumble. The white mage confronts him boldly, declaring revenge for yesterday while activating a strange device. Shock spreads across his face as the tool reacts. With steady confidence, she claims she has changed and demands obedience, insisting the result proves his dishonesty. Instead of retreating, he challenges her accusation, meeting her gaze despite visible tension. Leaning closer, she asserts he succumbed to her advances before, exposing what she calls his true nature. Smiling calmly, she reveals the necklace detects lies only she can see, tightening her control over him. Flustered yet determined, the white mage accuses him of lying about yesterday's events, insisting his behavior was improper. Smirking, she argues that as a man, he would naturally hide his desires behind excuses. Pressing him further, frustration rises within him, but instead of retreating, he declares a duel to settle the matter directly. Together they head to the Adventurer Guild, drawing attention from those nearby. Inside, two flamboyantly dressed men greet them casually, claiming they are simply following the latest trend. Two guild members boast about their flashy outfits, seeking Maria's approval. She stares at them, unsure whether the exaggerated display is serious. Her necklace stays silent, confirming their admiration is genuine. Refocusing, the party prepares to accept a commission and head out. They reach the Uza Plains, reviewing funds and equipment as their next expedition quietly begins. Maria smiles warmly, insisting she can heal the others with holy magic and quietly worrying about their safety. Suddenly, she raises her voice, declaring she refuses to see either of them hurt. Surprising the men, touched by her concern, they accept her resolve. While the party leader watches in silence, behind her gentle expression, she considers how to win him over. As wind sweeps the plains, she moves closer, planning to make her approach seem accidental. The three men suddenly sense movement and turn toward Maria as she steps forward between them. Tears fill her eyes while she apologizes for screaming, claiming she was frightened, though her display feels rehearsed. The men hurriedly deny seeing anything, their reactions awkward and easy to predict. Dropping the act, she criticizes their simplicity, no longer impressed by their responses. As she advances again, the party leader feels a sharp chill, realizing another scheme is unfolding. Suddenly, skeletons rise behind Maria, catching her off guard as the ambush unfolds. Frozen in fear, she fails to move while her companions shout for her to escape. Panic overwhelms her when she realizes she cannot fight undead enemies at all. Gornoff steps forward, shielding her while Clay unleashes lightning that shatters the attackers. With Toma nearby, the surprise assault collapses quickly, restoring control to the party. Toma reassures Maria with a calm smile, steadying her as the danger closes in. Orders are quickly given, assigning protection and directing magic toward the densest swarm. United, the party forms a line and pushes against the advancing skeletons. After escaping the endless wave, they rest by a campfire, exhausted but safe. Watching the men laugh together, Maria quietly reconsiders her opinion before allowing Toma to sit beside her. Around the campfire, the party relaxes, acknowledging each other's reliability after the hard battle. Toma praises Maria as an excellent member, and her necklace remains silent, confirming his sincerity. Flustered by the genuine compliment, she struggles to maintain her usual composure. Trying to recover, she challenges him lightly, refusing to admit defeat so easily. Though she protests and questions their trustworthiness, his calm response leaves her with fewer doubts than before. Maria's necklace reacts unexpectedly, exposing her own emotions and leaving her flustered after the exchange. Later, beneath the night sky, she approaches Toma quietly while the campfire burns low. Reflecting on her weakness against skeletons, she decides to visit a church in case of lingering curses. Inside the chapel, a calm sister prays at the altar, the place holding special meaning for Maria. Toma brought Maria to his usual church so she could be cleansed. The quiet building stood ahead as they walked together. Memories of sudden undead attacks resurfaced. Her panic during battle had nearly ruined the party's stability. suspicion lingered in her guarded behavior. He realized trust must be earned before she would reveal her past. They stepped through the church doors carefully, light pouring inside. Inside, Maria appeared dressed as a nun, holding a staff, her expression hinting at another complication. Toma met Sister Sophia inside the church after several days apart. She welcomed him warmly. Maria watched closely, surprised by their familiarity and sensing something unexpected. They introduced themselves and shook hands, polite smiles hiding quiet tension. Image the 4th of March. Aya remembered this church from her past, where she first learned about the goddess. Sophia gently dismissed suspicion, keeping a calm expression while the atmosphere grew slightly strained. Sophia examined Maria closely, leaning in until their faces nearly touched. After a careful check, she found no sign of any curse. Relief washed over Maria as the church offered purification anyway. Soon, she knelt while priests performed the ritual under soft light. Later, Sophia quietly admitted her surprise upon learning Maria's name, sensing a deeper connection. She then teased Toma about his supposed distance from women, watching his reaction. His loud denial only deepened Sophia's suspicion, leaving Maria flustered beside him. Sophia questioned whether Maria might distract Toma during exploration, her expression slightly flushed yet firm. Toma responded calmly, explaining that having a white mage helped the party despite certain risks. Maria grew irritated at his relaxed attitude while the two continued talking on a bench. Gathering courage, Sophia suddenly made a bold request that sounded improper at first. Flustered, she quickly corrected herself, clarifying she only wanted him to accompany her to harvest mushrooms. Sophia insisted she could handle monsters alone, questioning why Toma chose Maria instead. Doubt flickered across her face. After calming down, she explained the target was an agaric mushroom. Gratitude softened her tone as she accepted his help. Soon, they entered a ruined dungeon filled with flying creatures. The party moved together to repel the swarm. During the clash, teasing remarks spread among the group, hinting at Toma's weakness around women. As battle continued, tension rose when Maria noticed his distracted gaze, challenging his focus. During the fight, Toma began explaining Sophia's true role while monsters swarmed nearby. Sophia activated her magic, releasing a powerful enhancement that strengthened the entire party. With renewed energy, the group launched a coordinated strike and overwhelmed the flying creatures at once. After the battle, they praised her support magic as the key to their swift victory. While others relaxed, Maria watched with frustration, noticing Toma's guard around her slowly fading. Maria silently resolved to win Toma's attention, refusing to lose him to anyone else. Suddenly, she rushed to his side and grabbed his hand, asking about his condition after the fight. Sophia watched them closely, smiling while tension sharpened in her eyes. Feeling the pressure between them, Toma quickly changed the topic and pointed ahead. At the dungeon's depths, they finally discovered the towering agaric mushroom Sophia had been seeking. The party stared at the towering mushroom, stunned by its overwhelming size and crude shape. While the others reacted noisily, Sophia examined it calmly, noting it was far too large to carry intact. She explained that the agaric served as an ingredient for a special medicine meant to control dangerous impulses. Speaking firmly, she justified the task as part of her sacred duty tied to love and harmony. In the end, they agreed to harvest smaller pieces instead of the massive specimen. Sophia selected a mushroom of suitable size and prepared to extract it while the others watched uneasily. Despite awkward reactions from the party, she insisted on handling the task herself to avoid further trouble. With determined effort, she pulled the mushroom free, startling everyone with the force of the motion. After completing their objective, the group returned to the church and received her sincere gratitude. Before parting, Sophia smiled warmly, hinting she would rely on them again in the future. Maria clenched her fists outside the church, frustrated that she accomplished nothing while Sophia stood out. As she walked away, doubt crept in when she compared her abilities to the sister's bitterness, twisted her thoughts, turning admiration into harsh judgment toward the party, and her self-determination replaced hesitation, and she resolved to claim her place beside Toma, no matter the cost. Dark energy surged around her as she unleashed a powerful cleansing, signaling a dangerous shift ahead. Monsters chase the party across a narrow bridge to survive. The leader cuts it while a girl is still crossing. She falls as the structure collapses. The girl wakes in bed, shaking and drenched in sweat. The nightmare has returned again. Morning comes at the front gate plaza. Toma waits in the bright sunlight. He plans a simple outing to gather mushrooms. Sophia arrives in casual clothes with a basket, smiling despite lingering fear. Sophia rushes forward in a light dress and nearly crashes into Toma. She apologizes, shyly pleased with her outfit, while Maria watches with irritation. Two male companions suddenly appear, loudly declaring they will join as well. Their enthusiasm catches Toma off guard. Sophia clings to him, suggesting she choose his clothes next time. He awkwardly agrees as the group prepares to leave. They walk along the main road, discussing the picnic and her cooking. At the crowded street, the tall warrior shouts that they have reached the end of the line. The tall warrior panics after discovering a long line for his idol's surprise performance. Overwhelmed, he struggles between joining the event and staying with the group. Toma decides to let him attend, while Sophia watches in confusion. Another companion guides them toward a bookstore, calling the warrior an obsessed fan. Inside, the warrior suddenly notices a reissued, legendary grimoire still in stock, leaving him stunned once again. The warrior breaks down, torn between his idol's performance and a rare grimoire release. Toma allows him to go. Sophia quietly suspects the sudden events are too convenient, as if someone planned to separate them. Near the rest area, she asks for a short stop while the others agree to meet later. Alone, she questions whether the idol and book were deliberate distractions. Loud banging interrupts her thoughts, and tension rises outside the door. Inside the restroom, Sophia suddenly seals the door shut with wooden planks, blocking the exit. Maria appears outside, accusing her of sending the others away. Sophia calmly admits she had no better option. Maria declares she set everything up to protect Toma, believing Sophia is unworthy of him. She storms off, determined to separate them completely. Sophia grits her teeth, refusing to give up. The conflict traces back to the picnic plan, where their companions were deliberately lured away one by one. Sophia locks Maria inside the restroom, while Maria suspects the separation was planned for the two remaining members. At the meeting point, Toma notices Maria's absence, and assumes she went home feeling unwell. Now alone with him, Sophia wonders if he feels disappointed about the sudden changes. Toma insists she should not be upset since she organized the picnic. In the quiet park, Sophia smiles confidently, satisfied that Toma is still by her side. At the picnic table, Sophia opens a box of sandwiches and shyly offers them to Toma. She even feeds him, enjoying his flustered reaction. Her teasing grows bolder, while he awkwardly asks her not to joke that way. After sitting down, she admits she has something serious to discuss. Toma listens carefully as she explains it concerns their companions. Blushing yet determined, Sophia reveals she noticed the others staring at her chest during their last outing together. Sophia explains that the two men stared not only at her but at Maria as well. Toma apologizes, troubled by their behavior. She mentions harmful rumors surrounding Maria and worries someone kind like Toma could be dragged into trouble. Holding his hands, Sophia argues that men who leer and women who exploit them can destroy a party. She insists he deserves more trustworthy companions, even if it sounds harsh. From afar, Maria secretly watches them together, her expression darkening. Hidden nearby, Maria watches anxiously as Sophia waits for Toma's answer, eager to see his reaction. Toma admits her concerns may hold some truth, gently squeezing her hands. However, he firmly declares he has no intention of disbanding the party. He defends their companions, acknowledging their flaws, yet praising their loyalty, talent, and effort. Though surprised, Sophia insists she remains essential to the team, while still doubting Maria's place within it. Toma explains that despite their flaws, his companions support one another and have become true friends through shared battles. He thanks Sophia for worrying about him but insists he can choose his own allies. Sophia apologizes for overstepping, while he hurriedly assures her she did nothing wrong. After an awkward pause, they decide to end the picnic and head back. Later in a quiet alley, Sophia walks alone and signals for someone hidden nearby to come out. In the alley, Maria steps forward, mocking Sophia for failing to isolate Toma. They confront each other openly, both admitting they want him for themselves, while claiming it is for his sake. Neither agrees to back down, and their smiles harden into open hostility. Weapons flash as they strike at the same time, magic and tools colliding in midair. Amid shattered debris, they continue the fight, each refusing to abandon their claim over Toma. Maria declares that to prove herself right, she must defeat her rival, and walks forward without hesitation. Sophia calmly accepts the challenge, acknowledging that their rivalry has turned into open hostility. Both step closer with firm resolve, each convinced she alone will either save or defeat Toma, unwilling to yield. Inside the guild tavern, the white mage met the party again, smiling calmly while they sat together. She presented a vine-covered flower monster, explaining its stems could be used as medicine. The remedy was intended for elderly followers, and she asked the group for help gathering it. Suspicion arose among the companions, sensing she relied on them too quickly. Despite doubts, their leader chose to accept the task. Determined to prove the party's strength, the party learned the monster would turn to stone upon defeat, so its vines had to be cut beforehand. Doubt deepened as they realized the chosen target was dangerous and poorly suited for a white mage's request. Evidence appeared when the creature's ability dissolved equipment, proving the risk was far greater than expected. Maria stepped forward, arguing that adventurers depended on their gear and should refuse reckless demands. The white mage calmly insisted the monster was harmless, maintaining her position despite the tension. The leader warned that no monster could ever be considered completely safe, especially one that drained mana through its vines. Despite the risks, the white mage argued back confidently, brushing aside concerns about dissolved equipment and exposure. Tension sharpened as she challenged Maria directly, suggesting she step aside if fear held her back. Refusing to retreat, Maria advanced into the dungeon, determined to face the outcome herself. Deep within the forest, the vine monster struck swiftly, binding her as the battle spiraled out of control. Bound by thick vines, Maria struggled while urging the others to follow their strategy. Watching from nearby, the white mage resolved to judge the party's strength for herself. Sensing hesitation, Maria realized someone might be manipulating the situation behind the scenes. The monster tightened its hold, draining mana as her resistance weakened. At last, the remaining members moved in, preparing magic and weapons to rescue their trapped companions. The party launched their counterattack, freezing the sticky vines while splitting rolls to strike the core. Ice spread across the flower's body, halting its movements as blades and shields closed in. With a decisive blow, the monster shattered into fragments, releasing its captives. Toma caught the white mage as she fell, checking quickly for injuries while the others regrouped. Relief settled over the team, though Maria's frustrated glare showed the rivalry had only grown stronger. After the battle, the party emerged, drenched in sticky fluid, embarrassed but relieved to be alive. The white mage stood soaked yet composed, drawing attention as she brushed the residue from her clothes. Toma quickly offered his jacket to cover her, trying to restore order while the others looked away. Maria watched with frustration as the white mage stepped closer, claiming his concern with ease. Smiling softly, the white mage held the borrowed jacket tightly, satisfied that she had secured his attention once again. Maria studied the white mage carefully, realizing her innocent behavior might be deliberate rather than natural. Suspicion deepened, as she considered that such charm could be practiced skill instead of coincidence. Meanwhile, the others offered spare clothing, trying to ease the awkward aftermath of the battle. With limited options, they shared what remained, leaving some members more exposed than expected. Standing together in borrowed garments, the group regained composure, though Maria's doubts about the white mage only intensified. With the vines secured, the party prepared to return, though their damaged gear forced them to move cautiously. Light-hearted remarks eased the tension, even as they admitted how close the fight had been. On the path back, Toma reorganized their formation, while the white mage stayed close at his side. Maria quickly intervened, refusing to let the girl draw nearer under flimsy excuses. Despite the teasing and complaints, the group pressed forward, aware the dungeon remained dangerous. While discussing the benefits of defeating rare monsters, the party treated the battle as valuable experience. Apart from the optimism around her, Maria quietly admitted she simply did not want to be attacked again. Without warning, movement surged behind her, and Toma noticed the danger first. Realizing she was exposed, he rushed forward as a massive shape rose from the ground. A thick tentacle burst upward, striking Maria and sending both of them tumbling across the cavern floor. As Maria was flung aside, Toma lunged forward to catch her, but another surge of vines swept them both away. Shock spread across the party when they realized even their leader had been dragged into danger. Moments later, the creature swallowed them, sealing the two inside its thick, shifting body. In the darkness, Toma searched blindly until light revealed how closely they were pressed together. Flustered and embarrassed, they quickly separated after escaping, trying to pretend the awkward contact never happened. After breaking free, the group realized they had fallen from a great height, scattered beneath the flower's massive body. Facing the monster again, they noted it had adapted, trapping them separately instead of attacking directly. Determined to regroup, Toma insisted they reunite before the creature changed tactics once more. A sudden chill spread through the cavern, far stronger than Maria's usual magic. Dark energy gathered around Sophia, revealing that her excitement over the rescue had awakened unexpected power. Sophia watched Toma closely, praising his kindness while dark energy swirled around her. Shadows thickened as she confessed her gentle behavior had never been without intention. Before he could react, a surge of power struck, forcing Toma back as black wings tore through the air. Her appearance shifted completely, revealing horns, wings, and a confident smile. With calm certainty, Sophia exposed her true identity as a succubus, leaving Toma stunned by the revelation. A succubus reveals her true form before the young adventurer, Dark energy spirals outward as he stiffens in shock. Embarrassment overtakes him, and he averts his gaze. She observes his reaction with quiet satisfaction. Memories surface of their first meeting when he listened to her story with sincere focus. Unlike other men who stared at her body, he treated her differently. He wonders if such restraint is unusual. A subtle smile crosses her face as she steps closer, deepening his unease. The succubus blocks his path as he insists they must rescue their allies. Desire flickers in her eyes while he hesitates. She leans close and brushes against him. His body stiffens, unable to respond, despite his urgency. Pressed down beneath her, he struggles as conflicting instincts overwhelm his resolve. Confusion spreads across his face. A teasing smile forms, while she studies his frozen state. Suddenly, he forces himself free and retreats, leaving her surprised as distance breaks her hold. The young adventurer steadies his breath and regains control of himself. Though shaken by her true form, he endures the temptation, turning to her calmly. He insists they rescue their companions before anything else. His resolve creates distance between them. Dark energy surges again as she refuses to yield. Pressure fills the air, bearing down on him with greater force. Despite her nature, conflicted feelings surface within her heart. A strange light blooms in her eye, and unseen power gathers as her emotions intensify. A surge of light erupts from his body as the charm takes hold. Thoughts of her flood his mind, overpowering his focus. Strength leaves his limbs, and he drops to one knee. Realization dawns that her skill has broken his resistance. She understands the ability well, a power unique to her kind that ensnares men without fail. Succubi survive by draining vitality, mastering seduction as instinct. Yet memories surface of her, rejecting that nature years ago, unwilling to live only by desire. She reflects on her inability to live like other succubi, having refused to harvest energy through desire. Among strangers, suspicion followed her everywhere, and soon she no longer belonged anywhere. Seeking escape, she traveled to the capital and entered a church, hoping faith would shield her from corruption. Even there, hidden impulses surfaced around her, deepening her disappointment. At her lowest moment, someone approached with a different path, urging her to survive by using others, instead of being hurt. She devoted herself to charity, using her skills to gather support, while abandoning hope in men. Then the young adventurer appeared, and she allowed herself to believe he might be different. Yet even he fell under her charm, confirming her fears. Suddenly, power burst from him as he forced the spell away, shocking her. Through sheer will, he regained control, proving his feelings were not ruled by desire alone. With fierce resolve, he declares that he only wanted to protect her from despair. His voice carries steady conviction. He admits he could have dispelled her charm earlier, yet chose another path to reach her heart. Surprise softens her expression as she realizes he never truly fell under her control. Honesty follows as he confesses his own stirred feelings, despite resisting the spell. Embarrassment rises between them, but clarity replaces doubt as they face each other openly. Flustered by his blunt honesty, she trembles while he awkwardly admits how strongly she affects him. Composure returns as he explains that respect and care matter more than impulse. His words leave her uncertain. He clarifies that he never wanted her to suffer, regardless of her nature. Memories of her past bitterness surface, along with the emptiness she felt despite exploiting others. Gradually, a quiet smile forms as she realizes he endured her charm and may be someone she can trust. His sincere words echo in her mind, recalling how he valued her feelings above desire. She turns toward him, realizing he is not the flawless hero she imagined. Tears gather as she understands he is something far better, someone genuine and kind. Regret surfaces, and she apologizes for forcing her charm on him during battle. With renewed resolve, he offers his hand to save their companions, and she accepts, choosing to fight beside him. A burst of force throws him backward, and dust fills the air as the ground cracks beneath them. Rising quickly, he senses a surge of mana nearby, and fears their companions may be hurt. Familiar voices call out from the rubble, assuring him they are unharmed. Relief washes over him as he helps her sit up, though their closeness draws knowing looks. Their allies tease them lightly, calling them true companions, while he stands speechless under their amused stares. Tension rises as the men argue loudly, blaming him while she anxiously tries to calm them. Accusations fly, yet he quickly steps between them, urging everyone to talk instead of fight. Laughter replaces anger as his companions grab him playfully, declaring the matter settled among friends. Watching quietly, she studies the group he chose and measures their bond. A composed smile appears on her face as she asks about his progress, hiding deeper thoughts behind calm eyes. Teasing remarks spread through the group while he laughs awkwardly among his companions. From a short distance, she watches quietly, measuring the bond they share. Lowering her gaze, she accepts her defeat. The man who resisted her charm has proven himself different, and she begins to reconsider her feelings. Toma lay in bed, sweating as fever clouded his thoughts and weakened his body. The silent room reminded him of returning half-dressed from the dense forest dungeon the previous day. Sophia had apologized to Goranov and Clay, convinced she caused trouble, though they were not upset. Despite the mission being a success, Maria seemed dissatisfied, which lingered in his mind. Recognizing illness could affect anyone, he reached for water and accepted he needed proper rest. Toma used the magic line to inform his party that he had caught a cold and asked about their condition. Replies quickly arrived, assuring him they were fine and suggesting postponing the day's quest so he could recover. After sending his response, he lay back, frustrated that only he had fallen ill. A sudden knock interrupted the quiet room, forcing him to rise and check the door. Outside stood Maria, who had come to take care of him. Maria insisted she was not worried, claiming his illness would only slow their earnings, then handed him a mask she had prepared. When he swayed from dizziness, she quickly supported him and urged him to stand properly. For a brief moment, he leaned too close, distracted before pulling himself together. She guided him back to bed, determined to examine him carefully. After settling him down, she glanced around the simple room with quiet curiosity. Maria checked his condition closely, leaning in without hesitation to confirm he truly had a fever. After verifying his temperature, she prepared a cool cloth and gently pressed it against him. Promising to cook a special soup, she left him resting with a mask covering his face. While lying in bed, he thanked her, but soon asked about Sophia's condition. Hearing another girl mentioned, Maria's mood shifted, and she reacted with sudden irritation. Maria's irritation flared after he mentioned Sophia, and she declared she would no longer be lenient with him. Standing before his bed, she insisted his condition required serious attention and proper care. With unsettling determination, she prepared to examine him thoroughly. Ignoring his confusion, she forcefully began the inspection, while claiming it was strictly medical. Overwhelmed by the intense situation, he struggled to endure both his fever and her overwhelming approach. Maria leaned closer with a stethoscope, smiling as she began checking his heartbeat. Pressing the instrument against his chest, she observed his rising pulse while he struggled to stay calm. Satisfied with the reaction, she continued the examination, convinced her method was effective. Noticing his heavy sweating, she decided to wipe him down herself, insisting it was proper care. Overstimulated and weakened by fever, Toma finally lost consciousness in her arms. Maria laughed softly, claiming his condition worsened because he angered her. Despite her bold attitude, she hesitated, feeling uneasy about leaving him unconscious. Time passed quietly as he slept, and when he awoke, his fever had eased and his body felt lighter. Noticing the prepared medicine and water nearby, he realized someone had carefully tended to him. Across the room, Maria had fallen asleep beside the bed, exhausted after nursing him through the night. Toma noticed Maria murmuring in her sleep beside the bed, while he watched quietly. After observing her condition, he gently refused to wake her and decided to let her rest. When she stirred and realized he had recovered, she complained about the timing yet listened as he thanked her sincerely. She brushed off his gratitude, claiming she would never take advantage of someone weakened by illness. With lingering embarrassment on both sides, they agreed to end the chaotic day peacefully. Maria admitted she had prepared soup and offered it to him while pretending indifference. Though he felt grateful for her care, he quietly wished she would treat the party as true companions. After heading to the kitchen, she eagerly reheated the meal and brought it back with confidence. The bowl contained a strange mixture labeled as a special nutritious recipe from a white mage. Staring at the unusual contents, Tome hesitated, seriously questioning whether it was safe to eat. Maria confidently assured him the soup's nutrition was perfect and encouraged him to try it. Under her expectant gaze, Toma reluctantly lifted the spoon despite his doubts about the taste. Unable to refuse her effort, he forced himself to swallow the strange mixture. Moments later, the overwhelming flavor struck him down, leaving him unconscious while Maria checked his condition. The party reaches the beach, enjoying a rare break from quests as waves roll before them. Toma confirms he has recovered, while his companions relax in swimsuits nearby. Suddenly, commotion draws his attention toward a growing crowd on the sand. Two girls step forward confidently in striking swimsuits, proudly presenting themselves to their leader. Shock spreads across the men's faces. At last, one approaches Toma shyly, waiting for his reaction as the atmosphere turns tense. Maria stands confidently in her swimsuit while the two men enthusiastically praise her appearance. Their compliments grow exaggerated, comparing her beauty to fine art as she begins to feel overwhelmed. Leah steps forward with a bold smile, drawing attention to herself and inviting everyone to admire her effort. The men react intensely, their composure breaking as her display shocks them. Maintaining control. She teases lightly while Toma watches nervously, unsure how to respond to her daring behavior. Leah smiles at Toma, claiming she does not mind being seen that way. She leans closer and points at him, confidently noting his racing heart, while Sophia watches with irritation. Maria suddenly rushes in, clinging to Toma and insisting his recovery comes from her devoted care. Caught between them, Toma struggles as both girls pull him to their sides. Sophia fires back sharply, her frustration clear as rivalry intensifies around him. Lee realizes she went too far and awkwardly reminds herself she is part of the team, while Toma nervously asks to be informed next time. Overwhelmed by attention from both sides, he admits he cannot even enjoy the situation. Later, they settle beneath umbrellas as the beach calms around them. Maria suddenly asks Toma to apply sunscreen, claiming she cannot reach her back, flustered yet obedient. He helps her, while Lessa watches the scene with mixed feelings. Leah smiles mischievously and urges Toma to be more thorough while applying sunscreen, watching his reaction closely. His hands move carefully. Yet the closeness makes her flustered despite her teasing tone. From behind, Maria observes the scene, amused that her sister is still monitoring them. Suddenly overwhelmed, Maria reacts loudly, embarrassed by how far things have gone. Lita steps in beside her, whispering with a knowing smile as tension thickens between all three. Toma raises his hands and urges both girls to calm down, asking them to get along and enjoy the day. After brief hesitation, they agree to a temporary truce, so the beach trip will not be ruined. Soon, the three of them play in the waves and join a lively volleyball match nearby. During the game, the ball strikes awkwardly, leaving one girl flustered as Toma reacts too late. Recovering with embarrassment, she adjusts her stance and prepares to continue more carefully. While holding the volleyball, Maria is suddenly approached by a stranger, who boldly praises her appearance. He invites her to leave her friends and spend time with him instead. But she responds with visible annoyance. Noticing the situation, Toma and the others step in front of her, confronting the man directly. Intimidated by their serious expressions, the stranger quickly turns and runs. Without hesitation, the two muscular companions charge after him. Determined to defend their friend, Maria worries about what might happen if the man had been stronger. While Toma checks on her condition, smiling lightly, he assures her they would have escaped together if danger truly arose. She tests him by suggesting he might abandon her, yet he insists he would never do that. As tension eases, he casually remarks that her three protectors can handle most problems anyway. Just as he relaxes, Maria quietly tells him to look behind, hinting something unexpected approaches. Toma turns and finds Sophia surrounded by several men, their attention fixed on her. He rushes forward immediately, but she warns that leaving her alone might invite more trouble. After a tense moment, they regroup, both looking exhausted yet relieved. Soon, their muscular companions return as well, declaring the disturbance handled. As calm settles in, Toma notices a small figure nearby and questions who the unexpected child might be. A cheerful elf child named Dean suddenly appears, clinging shyly to Toma. At the beach, Toma waves calmly while Dean introduces herself with bright confidence. Moments later, his expression freezes as he notices her tight school swimsuit, realizing something feels out of place in this world. Sophia approaches quickly, questioning the outfit while Dean shifts awkwardly in the sand. Excitement spreads as someone declares it a rare swimsuit brought by a hero, astonishing everyone. Regret follows when Toma reflects on how strange influences continue disrupting his fragile isekai life. Dean stands close to her master, proudly claiming devotion while observing the others nearby. Two swimsuit-clad women question which of them might hold his affection, stirring quiet tension across the beach. Doubt rises as Dean wonders about his romantic ties, though another calmly states they are only friends. Without warning, Dean clings tightly to the bespectacled man, surprising everyone watching. It becomes clear that Clay's magic once dazzled her, causing that sudden attachment. Dean declares her dream of becoming a splendid magician and decides she needs a master to guide her path. Clay accepts the role, beginning lessons immediately as she celebrates with bright excitement. Training turns intense when he demonstrates control over rushing water, carrying her along with force. Elemental mastery follows, revealing a towering golem and stacks of research proving his dedication to magic. Later, Dean studies quietly, watching the others at the shore while reflecting on her new journey. Clay reminds his pupil to rest, noting that although training matters, she still prefers playing on the shore. Demonstrating control, He forms a dense sphere of water in his palm, showing precise elemental mastery. Toma moves closer to watch, unaware that the spell's direction suddenly shifts toward him. Eager to imitate the technique, Dean releases her own water sphere with reckless enthusiasm. The blast surges wildly before being deflected, leaving her embarrassed while the others react in shock. Toma suddenly shields the women as something flies toward them across the water. A strange flash leaves them flustered and struggling in the waves, unsure what just happened. The lost swimsuit is spotted drifting away, prompting Clay and the beastmen to dive after it. Competition erupts between them, each claiming greater speed while splashing fiercely. Before they can decide, Dean launches herself forward, determined to retrieve it and end the chaos she caused. Dean swims with effort and finally seizes the drifting swimsuit, lifting it proudly above the waves. Suddenly, a massive shark rises behind her, jaws wide as the others stare in horror. Realizing the danger, she freezes, while the current churns violently around her small figure. Toma quickly organizes the group, ordering support magic and strength to prepare a rescue. With Goronov's power beneath him, Toma launches forward through the surf, charging straight toward the beast. The shark lunges with jaws wide, but Toma reaches Dean first and pulls her away from its path. Although the rescue succeeds, the creature circles back through the water, refusing to retreat. Confidence returns as Clay steps forward, adjusting his glasses, while Toma trusts in his strength. Gathering water into a dense sphere, he carefully measures angle and force with calm precision. A massive torrent erupts, forming an overwhelming blast that surges straight toward the charging shark. The torrent strikes true, hurling the shark away in a spiraling surge as the sea finally calms. Toma checks Dean's safety, while she beams proudly at her master's overwhelming power. From the shore, Maria observes their teamwork, quietly admitting their coordination shines during danger. Relief spreads as laughter returns, and Dean gratefully hands back the recovered swimsuit. As peace settles over the beach, a distant figure appears, signaling that someone unexpected has arrived. Dean shyly asks if she will meet her master again, and he calmly ends the day's training she brightens upon learning. They both reside within the Holy Empire, deepening her excitement. After thanking everyone for playing with her, she runs off, promising to train harder next time. The men watch her leave, confident she will grow into a remarkable magician. In the shadows, a hooded figure greets Dean, hinting at a serious matter awaiting her attention. Dean rests on the bed, reflecting that the adventurers seem harmless, despite earlier instructions to cause disruption. Facing the hooded figure, she confidently claims that under her guidance, even capable men would falter. A sly smile forms as she questions Clay's role, hinting that he may ultimately become the true source of their downfall. A white mage drifts on the river in a school swimsuit, while two robed magicians observe from the shore, wary of her sudden presence. Emerging from the water, she approaches them with clear intent. Her expression shows impatience as she closes the distance. Without hesitation, she settles onto one mage's lap and casually directs their actions. The robed figures remain compliant under her bold behavior. Beneath a tree, the magicians kneel as she asserts dominance, recognizing their pride and weakness. At the guild counter, the party appears harmonious, unaware that she now firmly controls the group. During a celebration, the party discusses the white mage's influence. While others remain cautious, she appears delighted, treating the situation lightly. Attention shifts to Dean, who considers training her again. He recognizes her talent and decides to continue guiding her growth. Since meeting her at the beach, Clay has trained steadily under Dean. The group maintains confidence in their shared progress, with excitement. She looks forward to the day's lesson, determined to overcome her master. Dean calmly prepares to resume instruction. Training intensifies near the rocky shore. Dean acknowledges her strong magic, but notes her control still requires refinement. The white mage unleashes a massive water dragon that spirals toward Dean. The force of the spell shakes the ground as he braces against the impact. Standing confidently, she reflects on her progress, and believes her strength now surpasses her master's expectations. With a steady gaze, she pressures him to acknowledge her growth. Determined to prove her superiority through action, Dean analyzes the situation calmly, admitting that shaping magic into a living form requires advanced control. After the clash ends, he recognizes her improved mastery. She accepts the result with satisfaction, ready for the next stage of training. The white mage teases her master, suggesting he has nothing left to teach. Dean responds firmly, reminding her that mastering magic is never simple. Confidence flickers across her face as she believes she has surpassed him. Dean observes her growing arrogance with concern. Deciding to advance the lesson, he reveals a newly acquired magical tome, declaring his responsibility to keep her discipline in check. She reacts with uncertainty, realizing the next stage may not match her expectations. leaping onto a rock. She prepares a thunder spell. Energy gathers around her staff as training resumes with renewed intensity. Lightning crashes across the shoreline as the white mage releases a storm of thunder. Bolts strike repeatedly, forcing Dean to endure the overwhelming display of power. While he struggles to remain steady, she mocks the simplicity of his teachings and treats the advanced spell as effortless. Rain pours as Dean drops to one knee, pressured by her relentless assault. She claims her strength has surpassed anything he imagined. Standing close behind him, she belittles his condition and calls him insignificant compared to her talent. As he remains kneeling, she declares that breaking his spirit will end the party's hopes entirely. After the storm subsides, the white mage admits she still has room to grow. Dean rises calmly and urges her to reach greater heights. A confident smile returns to her face as she acknowledges that her master has not been broken. Later at the guild, a message arrives stating she will be away for several days to train. The party learns she intends to reforge herself through further discipline. Though concerned, the group decides to continue taking modest quests, trusting that her growing firepower will strengthen them when she returns. Toma notices the white mage peeking from behind a doorway as she calls out to him with cheerful energy. She rushes forward and offers to take over her master's role, smiling brightly while testing his reaction. After reviewing a request, she questions whether the task truly requires her level of ability, comparing others' failed attempts. Seeking approval, she kneels before a composed woman who calmly praises her unique approach. With a quiet smile, the woman decides to handle matters herself, planning to make Toma experience deep despair. Toma questions the white mage's sudden visit, noticing her unusual focus on him instead of Clay. She adjusts her hat and calmly claims she is present to disrupt the party, watching his reaction with interest. The others remind Toma of her praised talent, while she clings to him and insists on joining their plans. Reluctantly, he agrees to help, reasoning that she is still young despite her confidence. With excitement, she announces a simple dungeon outing for the day, and the party prepares to support her gaining practical experience. A few days later, Dean trains alone, gripping his staff as smoke rises around him. His expression shows fierce determination. Through intense practice, he reflects on his arrogance and recognizes how Clay's talent exposed his flaws. By the end, he attains mastery over a new form of magic. Confidence returns as he believes this power will allow him to stand proudly before his student once more. Reuniting with the party, he offers support, and they acknowledge both his effort and progress. With humility, he apologizes for past behavior, resolved to move forward together as a stronger mentor and ally. Dean returns to the group holding his staff firmly. Clay and the others greet him while the white mage watches closely. She teases him by recalling his earlier weakness, but he stands composed before the party and asks about their progress. With steady confidence, he explains that his training continues and that he only returned briefly to regain his footing. The white mage cheerfully declares she has been giving her best under his guidance, seeking his approval. Clay and the others acknowledge her growth, recognizing her as a dependable magician shaped by dedicated training. Dean suddenly falters, his expression tightening as strain overtakes him. Concern spreads through the group as they notice something is wrong. Despite his condition, he urges the party to continue without him. His voice remains steady, though his body trembles. A dark aura rises as his confidence wavers. From the side, the white mage watches quietly, adjusting her hat with a knowing smile. She reflects that without her presence, the party would collapse from a lack of power, and considers finishing her master completely. As tension builds, she wonders whether targeting his companions will finally corner him and prove her dominance. In a shattered forest clearing, Dean unleashes repeated blasts of magic, splitting trees and carving the ground. Sweat drips as he realizes his strength still falls below his master's standards. Through the fading smoke, the white mage approaches calmly. Her composed posture contrasts with the destruction, and Dean tenses under her quiet scrutiny. She studies him from behind, noting his exhaustion. Doubt creeps into his thoughts as he senses her concern. Stepping closer, she questions his growth. The pressure of her presence exposes his insecurity. At last, she challenges him directly, turning the clearing into a battlefield once more. A crushing surge of magic fills the clearing, forcing Dean to his knees. Sweat pours down his face as he realizes the overwhelming difference in power. Standing before him, the white mage smiles with absolute confidence. Her aura radiates control, proving she exists on a completely different level. Chains of magic bind him as she presses him down effortlessly. Struggle flashes across his face while she maintains dominance without hesitation. With a final surge, she overwhelms his resistance. His strength falters, and the gap between them becomes undeniable. After the clash ends, she kneels and pulls him into a gentle embrace. Relief replaces tension, and his hardened expression softens in her arms. Cradling him gently, the white mage speaks with calm authority. Dean, still shaken, listens as she proposes a new role for him at her side. Confidence fills her expression while she lays out simple conditions. His pride, already fractured from defeat, wavers under her steady control. Cheerfully she offers to teach him magic if he accepts becoming her student. The reversal of their positions unsettles him deeply. Lowering his head, Dean finally yields. Acceptance replaces resistance as he submits to her guidance. A triumphant smile spreads across her face. Satisfaction gleams in her eyes, knowing his will has finally broken. Evening settles as three adventurers return to the guild, concern lingering in their steps. Dean remains absent, and silence answers their worries. Inside, they confirm he has not responded to any messages. Unease spreads among them as days without contact begin to feel unnatural. Questions arise about his sudden disappearance. Anxiety grows, especially for Sophia, who admits she does not know his whereabouts. The guild doors open sharply as Sophia steps forward with resolve. Attention shifts to her when she hints that his absence may not be accidental. Gravely she reveals a connection to her forgotten homeland. Suspicion forms that Dean's situation is tied to secrets from another world. Inside the guild, Sophia admits Dean contacted her privately. The revelation unsettles the others and shifts their suspicions. Realization spreads as they consider that another person may share Sophia's origin. Unease replaces confusion. She voices a darker thought. Someone might be trying to break their party apart. The possibility hangs heavily in the room. Elsewhere, the white mage waits calmly, suggesting careful intent behind recent events. Clay presses Sophia for answers. Doubt flickers across her face, hinting that Dean's disappearance is part of a larger scheme. Sophia reveals that she and another share the same mentor. Dean's earlier secrecy now gains new meaning, linking past lessons to present turmoil. A looming figure emerges in their thoughts, described as the mastermind behind party collapses. The name alone suggests deliberate manipulation. Shock grips the group as they grasp the scale of the scheme. Anger replaces doubt, and resolve hardens. Sophia prepares herself, determined to shield the one involved, even if it means withholding the truth. Though she refuses to expose details, her stance remains firm. Tension fills the room as trust strains under hidden loyalties. Toma speaks firmly, acknowledging Sophia's conflict while pointing out that she sees him as a benefactor. His steady tone eases some of the tension. The group pieces together the situation, concluding that Toma was likely the real target. Sophia's gentle nature becomes part of their reasoning. Unexpectedly, humor breaks the strain as one member reacts with dramatic enthusiasm. Laughter contrasts sharply with the earlier suspicion. Attention shifts back to Clay's condition and what should be done next. Determination replaces confusion as they prepare to act. The white mage observes with playful confidence. Despite the seriousness, a light mood lingers among them. Toma studies his device in frustration, unable to contact either Dean or Clay. The silence deepens his concern about their sudden disappearance. Sophia reflects on Clay's strange behavior after training with the white mage. Suspicion grows that he may be influenced by her magic. Determination replaces doubt, as Toma declares he will not abandon his friend. His resolve energizes the others. Bakura agrees enthusiastically, proposing they go directly to Clay. Confidence surges between them. However, their momentum falters when asked where Clay actually is. Sophia lowers her gaze, admitting she has no information. Sophia offers to investigate Clay's whereabouts, raising her hand with forced composure. Moments later, she abruptly excuses herself and leaves the guild hall. Outside, she walks quickly through the street. Another figure calls out and moves to stop her. Confronted directly, Sophia is accused of sharing the same master as the suspected manipulator. The claim catches her off guard. She admits the connection but insists her loyalty lies elsewhere. Her feelings for Tuma outweigh past ties. The confrontation sharpens as she is questioned about her earlier advice. Tension rises between trust and suspicion. Accusations strike hard as Sophia is told she has stopped pursuing her targets. Shock flashes across her face while she denies the claim. The tension intensifies when her sincerity is questioned directly. Fear and doubt collide in her widened eyes. Above the street, the white mage appears calmly on her broom. Both girls stare upward in disbelief at the sudden arrival. Floating with casual confidence, the white mage mocks Sophia's hesitation and suggests she move on to another victim. Her tone carries sharp provocation. Sophia steadies herself and refuses firmly. Determination replaces uncertainty as she rejects abandoning her chosen path. Sophia steps forward with renewed resolve, declaring she will reassess her path and refuse to be manipulated any longer. Her voice carries firm conviction. The white mage questions her confidence, while memories of danger and past battles surface. Doubt flickers, but Sophia remains standing, clenching her fist. She insists the party will fall by her own hands. Pride fuels her defiance, despite the taunting laughter she receives. In a swift motion, the white mage lunges and grabs her, mocking her strength and status. The gap between them becomes painfully clear. Humiliation follows as sharp insults strike at Sophia's pride. Anger burns in her eyes while the confrontation escalates. With a smug grin, the white mage reveals Clay's location, then vanishes after a mocking farewell. Sophia trembles with anger at the taunt left. Alone in the street, she forces a smile and claims the disappearance does not trouble her. Pride masks the sting of rivalry. However, her composure cracks when questioned. Frustration slips into her voice. Reluctantly, she admits seeking help would wound her pride. The thought unsettles her more than the insult, determined to prove herself. Sophia declares she will crush the party by her own strength. At last, she extends her hand, signaling uneasy cooperation. They clasp, hands reluctantly, forming a temporary alliance to rescue Clay and confront the manipulative white mage together. A wooden sign claims Dean's castle lies 200 meters ahead. Toma and his party stare at it, unsettled by the crude drawing and strange message. Suspicion spreads as they question the direction. The forest path feels like a setup, and doubt rises about who might be waiting ahead. Choosing caution, Toma orders Gorn to lead. The group advances slowly, alert to any hidden threat. Bushes shake as Gorn searches the area. Confusion grows over why their targets would hide in such a forest. A figure suddenly drops from above. Shock freezes the party as they realize the trap has begun. Sophia nervously tries to cover the earlier mistake while Maria remains composed. Unease lingers, but nothing changes their situation. Toma questions the excuse as they continue along the forest path. Gorn reflects that Sophia still behaves immaturely. The group keeps moving despite the long walk. Suddenly, Toma senses danger and shouts a warning. Gorn reacts instantly as a massive wooden log swings toward him from the side. More logs sweep across the path in rapid succession. Toma studies their timing and directs the party to dodge carefully. Without warning, a giant boulder crashes down ahead. Shock spreads as they realize the traps were only the beginning. Toma realizes the forest itself is hostile and calls for retreat. Frustration spreads as they understand the enemy never intended them to arrive safely. Before they can withdraw, a massive treant rises from the trees. Gorn turns to face it, recognizing a new threat blocking their path. Toma quickly shifts to command. He orders Sophia to strengthen them and tells Maria to prepare healing as rain falls around them. Gorn charges forward under Toma's direction. Steel and strength collide against hardened bark as they push through the creature's defense. At last, the treant falls. Exhausted, the party kneels on the ground, relieved to have survived the ambush. Sophia suddenly calls for attention, pointing ahead with urgency. Gorn stiffens as he follows her gaze. Beyond the trees stands a massive step structure rising into the sky. Hooded figures carry heavy stone blocks up its wide staircase, silently working. Confusion deepens as the party realizes the laborers are people under Dean's influence. The scale of the building feels unnatural within the forest. Toma spots a grand altar at the summit and directs everyone's focus toward it. Suspicion sharpens into certainty as they connect the scene. At the top, Dean appears calmly, watching their arrival. A confident smile spreads across her face as she acknowledges they survived her trials. Inside the structure, the party demands their mage back. Dean lounges calmly, while a hooded man serves her tea without hesitation. Shock spreads as the man reveals himself to be Clay. The group stares, unable to understand why he stands beside her. Tension rises, but Clay apologizes and states he will not return. His words fall heavily across the open space. Sophia and Maria struggle to accept that someone of Clay's skill would remain as a servant by choice. Dean proudly explains his loyalty. Clay quietly insists he is fine, asking them to leave as the distance between both sides widens. Toma fiercely denies the accusation and refuses to abandon Clay. Gorn stands firm beside him, anger clear in his stance together. The party declares their oath and calls for Clay to return. Their unity echoes through the stone hall. Clay lowers his gaze, shaken by their words yet unable to answer immediately, ignoring Dean's mockery. Toma rushes up the stairs toward the altar. Hooded servants suddenly block his path. He orders them aside, insisting they only want their friend back. The servants close ranks, determined to protect Dean from any approach. Hooded servants surround Toma on the steps and declare that Clay no longer belongs to him. Their voices echo as they close in, Toma and Gorn prepare for a prolonged fight, realizing they cannot advance without breaking through every guard. Before violence erupts, Sophia and Maria step forward, asking to handle the situation themselves. With confident smiles, they unleash their charm, attempting to sway the servants and open a path to Clay. The robed followers burst into laughter, unmoved by the attempt. Mockery fills the hall as the effort fails completely. Maria and Sophia intensify their charm, pushing their magic further. Hearts flood the hall as the servants fall under the sudden wave of influence. The robed followers sway together, completely captivated. Toma and Gorn watch in stunned silence as the guards lower their defenses. Seizing the moment, Toma urges Gorn to focus on rescuing Clay. The path up the stairs now lies open. Confidence returns to the two women as they acknowledge their success. Pride shows in their expressions. From above, Dean clicks her tongue in irritation. Though annoyed, she notes that Clay's former companion remains an obstacle she cannot ignore. Dean steps forward, dismisses her servants, and prepares to confront Tomei's party personally, confident in her overwhelming power. The white mage steps ahead confidently while the warrior and the horned elder stand behind her. Determination shows in her expression as she takes control of the situation. Without warning, crushing gravity forces the warrior to the ground. His body freezes under the sudden weight, unable to resist the spell. Dark pressure spreads across the area. She calmly maintains the magic, watching him struggle to move. Strain reaches even the elder, who feels the overwhelming force pressing down. Both realize her power surpasses expectations. When intruders appear, they are quickly deemed insignificant. Confidence surrounds the white mage as the outcome becomes certain. Under crushing gravity, the small girl and her companion are forced to the ground. The white mage stands nearby, insisting that Clay must defeat her before taking the girl home. Both captives struggle against the pressure. Anger rises as they endure humiliation, yet neither can lift their bodies. With a relaxed smile, the mage mocks Clay's weakness. She treats the situation lightly, convinced no one there can oppose her. Her teasing continues, targeting his pride. Frustration spreads across the men's faces as tension builds. Despite the immense force, Clay begins to move. Shock appears on her face when she realizes he is resisting her gravity. Memories surface of Clay's lonely childhood feared by villagers for his strange magic. He walked empty streets with no place to belong. Despite isolation, he trained without rest. Over time, his effort shaped him into a powerful mage who never avoided hardship. Back in the present, the white mage increases the gravity again. Clay's body sinks deeper, as pressure forces him toward the ground. Even while restrained, his allies defend his talent and growth. Their belief clashes with her cold dismissal. Through pain and doubt, Clay shouts with resolve. Determination burns in him as he refuses to let her define his worth. The horned elder grins and signals his support for Clay. Behind him, the cloaked mage and the white mage face each other as tension lingers in the air. A brief memory flashes of their chaotic companionship. Laughter, rivalry, and sudden surprises once filled their days together. Returning to the present, the white mage prepares another spell, confident that Clay will not yield. Her posture remains steady as she raises her staff. Before she can act, the cloaked mage steps forward. He announces his decision while Clay lies exhausted behind him. Leaning on his ally, Clay manages to stand. The white mage watches in confusion as their bond proves stronger than her expectations. The white mage insists the others only want Clay back because they lack strength. She claims that during his absence, they were satisfied under her power. From across the hall, the cloaked mage calmly addresses her. He admits his limits, but refuses to let her belittle Clay or their bond. Hearing his words, she falters. Clay leans weakly against his ally, yet remains supported by unwavering trust. Shock spreads across her face as she realizes his resolve was never broken. Doubt replaces her earlier certainty. With quiet confidence, he reveals his endurance came from training. Her frustration rises as control slips from her grasp. The white mage declares that leaving means the end of training. Her tone is sharp, yet uncertainty flickers across her face. The cloaked mage admits his foolish pride. He states that he feared being inferior and avoided facing his friends honestly. Casting aside hesitation, he reveals his true resolve. Acceptance replaces envy as he chooses to improve alongside them. Soon after, the group reunites on the steps. Relief spreads among them as he apologizes and returns. Watching from nearby, the white mage clenches her fist. Frustration rises within her, realizing the party will not collapse so easily. The white mage refuses to back down and declares she will fight seriously. Energy gathers around her as she prepares to prove her dominance. Water magic surges forward, forming a massive dragon aimed at Dean. Confidence fills her expression as the spell descends. Dean responds instantly, raising an ice shield to intercept the attack. The collision shakes the area, yet he remains standing behind the barrier. She insists no defense can stop her power. Pressure builds as he strains to endure the impact. Splitting the torrent into twin streams, she drives the assault harder. Even so, Dean holds his ground despite the crushing force. The white mage shouts in anger, blaming humans for everything. Dean faces the roaring water dragon while questioning her sudden hostility. Realizing brute defense is insufficient, he recalls knowledge learned from another world. A layered ice barrier forms around him, shaped like a honeycomb. The attack crashes against the structure, yet it holds. Shock appears on her face when she sees her spell stopped. Refusing to yield, she multiplies the dragon into several heads. Even so, the reinforced shield withstands the assault. At that moment, Clay and the Horned Elder charge forward. Their combined strike cuts through the water beast, turning defense into counterattack. The Horned Elder urges Clay to press the attack while the shield holds the raging water. Confidence returns to their side as they prepare to strike together. Clay declares that unity gives them strength. Behind him, the healer raises her staff, ready to mend any wounds. Within the honeycomb barrier, their coordinated assault shatters the water dragon. The impact echoes as the spell collapses. Seeing their teamwork, the white mage admits she cannot match Dean alone. Doubt begins to replace her earlier arrogance. Dean states firmly that his strength comes from allies who stand beside him. Realization dawns on her as she understands what she lacks. The remaining water dragons weaken as their form begins to collapse. Dean notices the change while the white mage stares in disbelief. Anger rises within her as she claims her strength comes from someone who restored her power. Even so, doubt spreads across her face. Dean admits he cannot defeat her alone, yet he refuses to force submission. His calm resolve unsettles her further. She insists she was never alone from the start, trying to steady herself. Fear, however, begins to surface. Standing in the pooled water of her shattered spell, she becomes vulnerable. Dean channels electricity through the surface, turning her own magic against her. Electric current surges through the water, striking her body. Overwhelmed by the shock, she collapses as the battle ends decisively. A spirit was born from human desire within a small temple. Worshippers prayed earnestly, unable to see her presence as she watched over them. She answered their wishes by bringing heavy rainfall. Water poured down upon the land, fulfilling their hopes, though she remained only an unseen object of worship. Joy spread quickly among the villagers. As celebrations followed, devotion increased, and her power grew stronger with each new believer. Years passed while she guarded the region. Smiling faces pleased her, and faith sustained her existence. Gradually, followers decreased day by day. Prayers became fewer, and her strength weakened, leaving her unsettled and vulnerable. Villagers stormed the temple in anger. Faith turned into resentment, and they questioned the spirit's worth as their hardships continued. Harsh demands echoed through the shrine. They ordered rain and miracles, yet her fading strength could no longer answer them. Fear filled her as desperate wishes piled up. Spirits weakened when belief declined, and she lacked the power to resist the growing hostility. Accusations followed, calling her useless and small. Doubt spread among the crowd, replacing devotion with bitterness. Violence erupted inside the temple. As objects shattered around her, the fragile spirit trembled, overwhelmed by the collapse of faith. As the shrine was destroyed, the spirit felt her form beginning to scatter. Villagers dismantled the temple and left the forest, abandoning her completely. Overcome with grief, she accepted that without faith she could not continue. Tears fell as her presence faded like mist in the air. At that moment, a young woman arrived beneath an umbrella. Unlike the others, she looked directly at the trembling spirit and approached calmly. Shock crossed the spirit's face when the stranger spoke to her. No human had ever acknowledged her existence before. Realization slowly dawned. For the first time, someone could truly see her, and that encounter halted her quiet disappearance. The strange girl revealed that the spirit could become a weapon. With a simple gesture, she demonstrated a power that twisted humans into obedient beasts. Moments later, the raging villagers changed into subdued creatures. They crouched silently while the girl stood calm beneath her umbrella. The spirit watched in shock as the men lost their will. The girl explained that protection alone would never secure lasting devotion. Instead of granting wishes, she urged control. Beasts offered no faith, only submission. Through domination, praise would follow naturally. Power would no longer depend on fragile belief, but on mastery over those who once scorned her. The mysterious girl assured the spirit that she would teach her a new path. Calmly, she introduced the methods needed to gain control. Using a charm, the spirit obtained a tool that allowed humans to see her. Following those instructions, her followers quickly increased. She focused on mages whose understanding of spiritual forces strengthened her further. Stability returned, and her temple no longer faced destruction. Even so, she felt unease while watching humans suffer when their parties collapsed. Their pain stirred something unexpected within her. A troubling thought surfaced. Perhaps she desired to witness those emotions, and that realization left her shaken. Several robed followers knelt before the spirit, pleading for forgiveness. 3 adventurers stood nearby, watching the strange scene with caution. The young man explained they had only come for clay, not conflict. His companions remained alert as they observed the kneeling figures. The spirit questioned their presence while the followers crowded behind her. Tension grew as the bespectacled man stepped forward. He stated that he had something important to say. She responded coldly, urging them to leave at once. Before he could finish, a heavy impact struck nearby. The sudden noise made her flinch, suspecting they intended to release their anger on her. The bespectacled mage stepped forward and expressed gratitude to the spirit. Calm confidence replaced the earlier tension. He admitted that her guidance allowed him to reach greater heights. With composed sincerity, he asked her to continue teaching him magic. Confusion spread across her face as she demanded an explanation. She revealed that she had wished for their party to collapse. The mage acknowledged this, but argued that weakness had been the real cause. If improvement was possible, remaining powerless would make no sense. The former followers declared that she never abandoned them and helped them grow stronger. Hearing their praise, the spirit stood speechless. Tears filled the spirit's eyes as her followers declared their loyalty. They promised to remain by her side regardless of what the future held. Seeing them stand firm, she realized their faith had not vanished. If it had, her power would have already faded. Confusion overtook her thoughts. She questioned why belief endured even without force or domination. The bespectacled mage gently reassured her. Though she had done harsh things, that alone could not erase everything she meant to them. Even the adventurers accepted the situation without judgment, surrounded by steady support. The spirit struggled to comprehend this unexpected forgiveness. The bespectacled mage calmly accepted the situation, saying it was simply how things were. The others agreed, treating the outcome as natural. Supporters cheered behind him, asking her to guide them from now on. Their trust felt steady rather than forced. Moved by their sincerity, she admitted she could no longer see humans as mere beasts. Gratitude replaced the need for control. Although she apologized to her former mentor, she chose her own path. The adventurers welcomed her decision without hesitation. Under a bright rainbow, she smiled confidently. Surrounded by companions instead of subjects, she embraced a future built on willing faith. A small bird watched the distant temple from a branch. Its sharp eyes reflected the structure, as if observing events tied to it. Inside a quiet room, the umbrella girl reviewed the outcome. Learning that even Dean had chosen his own path, seated before shadowed figures, she considered her next target. With calm intent, she began planning a new temptation to test another soul. The party reaches an onsen hotel after Dean suggests it as an apology. The men admire the open-air bath, believing it will be a simple chance to relax. Soon the women arrive in yukata and reveal the bath is mixed. Surprise spreads as the meaning sinks in. Dean rushes forward eagerly. The others follow with hesitation, unsure how to handle the situation. Sophia explains mixed baths are normal in her former world and demands proper conduct. Embarrassment still lingers among the group. Together, they enter the open-air onsen, forced to accept the awkward reality. Before entering the bath, everyone washes carefully as instructed. Buckets of warm water pour over their heads, while Sophia calmly demonstrates proper etiquette. Embarrassment grows when glances linger too long. One of the girls reacts sharply, forcing the men to look away and regain composure. Dean approaches her master with a bucket, offering to scrub his back. He refuses, trying to keep distance, but she ignores the tension and moves closer. Suddenly, she unleashes powerful water magic to help with cleansing. A massive surge crashes down, far beyond normal washing. The blast overwhelms him, nearly drowning the poor man. Dean calls it training, while he struggles to survive the ordeal. Sophia steps in firmly when Dean's actions grow excessive, reminding her not to disrupt the bathing ritual. Dean pauses, recalling that they came to relax. Steam drifts across the open-air bath as the group finally settles into the water. Tension fades while warmth eases their bodies. Calm expressions replace earlier embarrassment. The soothing heat allows them to enjoy the moment, without chaos. As they float quietly, talk turns to travel and time spent away from home. The bath becomes a rare pause in their journey. Sophia glances toward the protagonist with a soft smile, her feelings deepening in the quiet comfort of the onsen. Heat surrounds them as the protagonist and Sophia exchange shy glances. The small companion watches with visible irritation. Conversation drifts toward the hotel's reputation and the spring's sacred origin. Praise fills the air while everyone relaxes deeper into the bath. Sophia stretches lazily, explaining the water's benefits. Even without believing the legends, the soothing warmth speaks for itself. The women laugh together, their closeness obvious. Nearby, the small companion floats toward the protagonist with a serious look. She suddenly calls out to him, breaking the calm mood. The peaceful atmosphere shifts as attention turns to her blunt remark. The small companion fixes the protagonist with a sharp grin and brings up a certain person. Her tone shifts from playful to serious, catching him off guard. She calmly suggests that someone has been creating party crushers around him. The implication unsettles him, as he begins to understand her meaning. While the other girls laugh nearby, she asks whether he is bothered by constantly being targeted. Doubt begins to replace the earlier peace. He questions her directly. Sensing there is more behind her confidence, the atmosphere tightens. At last, she reveals she was ordered to destroy his party. Shock freezes him in place. A dark vision appears in his mind, showing a mysterious woman watching him from afar. The image suggests someone powerful is observing his every move back in the bath. He questions why this information was revealed. She avoids explaining further and claims she does not know the reason. He presses her, wondering if the Watcher is actually his supposed savior. Suspicion grows between them. Flustered, she turns away and denies everything, yet her softened expression reveals mixed feelings. Regaining composure, she warns him that his party may collapse again. With a firm gesture, she urges him to become stronger than ever. The protagonist clenches his fist beneath the moonlight, assuring himself that he will not repeat past mistakes. Determination replaces his earlier shock. Elsewhere, a shadowed woman smiles in silence, predicting his despair, while watching events unfold from afar. Back in the bath, discussion shifts to hidden connections and suspicious knowledge. Confusion spreads, yet the peaceful setting remains unchanged. Moments later, warmth and closeness distract several members, creating a brief illusion of paradise within the steam. Suddenly, a loud splash breaks the calm as two companions are knocked forward. The peaceful bath descends into chaos once again. The small companion scolds the overheated men, questioning how they could collapse so easily. Water surges as their bodies drift helplessly in the bath. With a flat expression, she announces they fainted from heat and drags them aside to rest. Calm quickly returns to the pool. An awkward silence forms when the remaining members glance at one another. The protagonist stands alone, unsure where to look. Sophia steps closer, explaining the spring's effects while checking on him. Sparkling drops cling to her as she studies his reaction. Another companion cheers confidently, yet the intensity overwhelms him. Flustered beyond endurance, he decides to retreat from the bath. Soft footsteps echo across the stone floor as someone approaches the bath. Sophia notices first, sensing a presence behind them. A tall woman stands at the edge of the pool, her silhouette calm and confident. The group freezes as they recognize her figure. She greets Sophia and Maria casually, as if meeting old friends. The protagonist stares, unable to hide his shock. Before he can finish speaking, she smiles beneath her dark hair and remarks that it has been a while. Unease spreads through the steam. Stepping forward boldly, she calls him by name. Her sudden appearance confirms that the true mastermind has finally revealed herself. Inside a quiet lecture hall, a lone student studies until a cheerful girl approaches and asks to sit beside him. Surprise flashes across his face as she thanks him and settles into the seat, her energy overwhelming his calm routine. Noticing the game on his phone, she leans closer with interest. Realizing they both play the same title, sparks an instant connection. Soon after, she introduces herself as Aizu Kitazono with confident warmth. He responds awkwardly, still adjusting to her pace. Later in another world, she stands before his party and boldly claims familiarity. Her presence unsettles the group. Toma freezes when Aizu suddenly appears before him in the other world. Her familiar smile contrasts sharply with his panic. Once he had fallen deeply for her, only to be cast aside when others pursued her. Instead, betrayal followed, and his life ended in despair. Now she stands in this new world, radiating a presence that feels different and overwhelming. He struggles to look away, confusion tightening his chest. Instinct warns him that something about her has changed. Fear mixes with an unexplainable pull toward her. Gathering himself, he demands answers while trying to keep distance. Sensing danger beneath her calm expression, Toma struggles to keep his composure as Aizu stands before him, without hesitation. His gaze wavers, unsure where to rest. Dark energy begins to swirl around her body, rising like a living shadow. In response, she calmly gestures as if nothing is unusual. Moments later, black fabric forms around her figure, wrapping into a revealing outfit shaped by magic. She studies his reaction with quiet curiosity. Suspicion strikes him as he senses unfamiliar power behind her smile. The atmosphere grows tense under her steady stare. Suddenly, his companions rush forward in alarm, startled by the intimate tension and the strange magic unfolding before them. In the bathhouse, Asu reminds Toma they once attended the same school. Steam drifts as he tenses at the memory. Shame surfaces when he reflects on being deceived in the past. One companion overhears, puzzled by the mention of home. Calmly, Asu reveals that the girls he encountered here were linked to her. The statement leaves him stunned, stepping closer through the water. She confirms everything was intentional. His companions stare, struggling to process it. Realization dawns as he demands the truth about her scheme. Asu admits responsibility, deepening his unease. In the bath, Asu casually adopts the title of Party Crusher, amused by the meaning behind it. Toma watches her carefully, sensing provocation. She claims her actions are mercy for others. Doubt fills his expression as he questions her reasoning. Explaining further, she insists she rescued troubled girls and trained them to survive in this world. The justification fails to ease his suspicion. Her tone sharpens as she mocks shallow ideas of love and friendship. A darker intensity surfaces beneath her smile. Moving closer in the water, she invites him beside her. Toma hesitates, demanding answers about what happened after his death. In the quiet bath, Asu asks whether Toma still holds resentment toward her. The question lingers heavily between them. After a brief silence, he gently denies ever hating her. Moonlight and steam soften his expression. Turning toward her, he says they have only just reunited and expresses hope they might become friends, this time. Asu listens, caught off guard. She reminds him, she returned with a purpose, watching his reaction closely. He acknowledges it without hesitation, with firm resolve. She reveals her influence has spread widely, yet he quietly admits he would still accept her, despite everything. Toma suggests they settle everything through honest conversation. His tone remains steady, hoping reason can bridge the distance between them. Asu suddenly bursts into laughter, leaning closer in the water. The intensity of her reaction leaves him startled and unsure. Regaining composure, she questions his willingness to remain by her side despite everything. In that moment, her hand rests lightly against his chest as she calls him too kind. Heat rises to his face while she smiles with quiet delight. Looking at him with softened eyes, she appears deeply moved, stirred by the way he continues to accept her. Asu's excitement twists into something darker as a monstrous presence rises behind her. The creature's grin looms over the bath, amplifying the threat in the air. Toma's expression tightens in alarm while his companions tremble nearby. Fear spreads quickly through the steamy chamber. With cold intensity, Asu questions whether he understands how much he has been shaped by suffering. Her gaze sharpens. She declares her goal to shatter his faith in love and friendship. In response, he insists his kindness is genuine, not weakness. Silence follows as he challenges her resolve. Asu turns slightly, her smile lingering as tension thickens around them. Toma firmly declares that true love and lasting friendship still exist. His hands rise in quiet resolve as he rejects her attempt to sway him. Asu closes her eyes briefly, calling his belief naive. Turning away, she warns that her pursuit will not end until he falls. He shouts that no matter who stands against him, he will never surrender. Determination replaces the fear in his voice. As she walks off, he vows to become her friend in this world. Without looking back, she promises to break him instead. Their companions rush forward in concern, yet one softly admits that Toma once saved her. Asu's expression hardens as she declares that men cannot be trusted. Her words carry sharp conviction, unsettling everyone present. One companion hesitates yet admits she may stand as both servant and enemy. Asu accepts this calmly, unbothered by the contradiction. Another girl falters, under the pressure while Asu watches from a distance. The tension spreads through the bathhouse. She reminds them not to place faith in men, asserting control over the situation. Doubt and frustration ripple among the others. With dark energy swirling at her fingertips, Asu announces her decision to personally test Toma. The challenge is set without hesitation. Asu opens a dark portal and waves lightly, announcing her departure for now. Her smile lingers as the swirling void closes behind her. Silence settles over the bath as Toma stares at the empty space she left. His companions stand beside him, tense and uncertain. Suddenly, one girl steps forward with fierce resolve, declaring she will protect him no matter what. Another quickly insists that she will be the one to face Asu's challenge. Determination flares between them despite the awkward setting. As the tension breaks, Toma exhales in relief, only to realize the rivalry around him has grown even stronger. Toma panics in the bathhouse, worried he has caused another misunderstanding. Flustered and sweating, later the building rests quietly under the night sky. Reflecting on the chaos, he renews his vow to resist party crushers and persist in reaching Aisu someday. After leaving the hot spring, Soma sat at the table tennis court, reflecting on recent events while rallying with his two friends. They questioned him about the girl he once loved, and the party crushers connected to her, pressing him for answers. The game escalated as both friends attacked fiercely, smashing the ball with intensity. Soma admitted that being targeted was causing them trouble, yet he resolved to face each enemy alone. A sudden strike hit him, and one friend seized his collar, reminding him that his struggles were shared. Soma smiled weakly while his friend gripped his collar, reminded that he was the only mage yet still their leader. Soon, both men declared they might be the next targets, each imagining dramatic scenarios where a beautiful woman would pursue them. Competition replaced concern as they argued over who should be chosen first, their selfish excitement growing louder. Meanwhile, Soma observed quietly, realizing their worries had shifted into foolish fantasies, while a nearby girl reacted with disbelief. At that moment, two young women appeared behind them, announcing their presence and signaling that the situation was about to change. The two girls reacted in shock after learning that their leader came from another world, struggling to process the revelation. Later, everyone gathered around a low table for a meal, yet the atmosphere felt heavier than before. One girl quietly reflected on what that truth implied. Soma's companions acknowledged the matter as private, recognizing the girls had never known. Turning toward them, Soma admitted he kept it hidden despite considering them friends. Their expressions softened, though uncertainty remained. Finally, one girl beamed with admiration, overwhelmed by the idea that Soma was a hero from another world. Soma explained that he gained abilities by earning experience points, describing it as a blessing granted through divine grace. Questions followed about the exact nature of those abilities, including resistance to drugs and heightened intuition. Memories of recent incidents made the skills seem more unsettling than impressive. Around the table, the group considered how much of his power truly came from that mysterious system. Curiosity mixed with caution as they reflected on its limits. Soma admitted that some skills aided survival, yet doubts about the structure of his skill tree remained. Finally, he revealed that certain abilities carried disturbing implications, confirming his growing concerns. Dark energy swirled behind Soma, as he clenched his fist, declaring that his power existed to confront Aisu. Determination replaced hesitation in his eyes. Across the table, his companions fell silent, weighing his resolve. The possibility that he was truly a hero forced them to reconsider everything. Meanwhile, the two girls exchanged uneasy looks and proposed a startling idea. If Soma was the hero, then their teacher might be the demon lord. Legends resurfaced about a demon lord summoned from another world by an evil goddess, deepening the tension. Despite the rumor, one girl insisted the teacher once saved her, refusing to accept such a claim. One girl admitted she did not wish to stand against her master, though uncertainty clouded her resolve. Soma listened carefully, asking if that choice was truly acceptable. Another confessed she would resent it if any of them were tempted away by someone else, revealing jealousy beneath her calm tone. Soma smiled and declared he would rely on everyone again, while his companions questioned whether a hero should truly confront a demon lord. Despite doubts, the group agreed to stand together. Off to the side, one girl remained troubled. Night settled over the inn as silence filled their shared room, leaving her alone with restless thoughts. Late at night, Maria slept restlessly, murmuring in her dreams while clutching her blanket. Nearby, Soma lay awake, troubled by lingering thoughts. Moonlight covered the inn courtyard in silence as the others continued sleeping, unaware that two figures had risen. Maria stepped into the corridor, her expression distant. A moment later, Soma approached and greeted her casually. She admitted she could not sleep, and he understood without pressing further. The quiet hallway held their unspoken worries. Turning away slightly, Maria forced a faint smile, thinking that despite everything, this strangely fortunate party might not last forever. Maria reacted sharply to Soma's blunt honesty, calling out his certainty while he folded his arms without hesitation. Calmly, Soma admitted that discovering the girl he loved had deceived him was deeply painful. The memory still weighed on him. Maria argued that shutting others out because of that wound would only lead to isolation. The two stood side by side in the quiet corridor, tension lingering. Soma reflected that instead of fearing betrayal, he preferred bonds where such fear no longer mattered. Maria turned away, confessing she could not share his outlook, while he forced a faint smile. Maria accused Soma of lacking awareness, frustrated by his blunt attitude since the beginning. He listened with a tired expression. She confessed she could not understand him, and declared her loyalty remained with her teacher. Soma quietly accepted her stance. Suddenly, Maria stepped forward and announced her intention to tear the party apart. Her emotions surging in the narrow corridor. Soma's gaze sharpened as he answered that their bond would not collapse, even if she had not yet crossed a line. Under the crescent moon, Maria shouted that she was trying to hurt him, yet he stood firm, prepared for whatever followed. Soma smiled gently and suggested they simply reconcile, treating the conflict as something they could move past. Maria turned away and claimed she had no intention of becoming his friend. As they stood back to back, Soma quietly admitted he already considered her one. Flustered by his response, she tried to walk off, but frustration stopped her. Embarrassment colored her face. Suddenly, Maria spun around and proposed a compromise, her voice trembling despite her bold posture. With determined eyes, she declared she would continue trying to win him over, refusing to leave that role to anyone else. Blushing yet resolute, Maria declared she would help him fight the teacher's followers, unwilling to watch anyone else win him over. From a distance, Soma interpreted her proposal as a conditional alliance, trying to organize her emotions into practical terms. She confirmed it bluntly, explaining they might be enemies by fate but allies in emergencies. Soma accepted the idea as progress. Under the moonlight, she insisted he should not mistake her intentions for trust, then hurried away down the corridor. Before leaving, Maria revealed with a teasing smile that she had been his very first enemy in this world. Maria reminded Soma that her true goal was to become his friend, leaving him flustered by her unwavering declaration. Under the quiet moon, a united front formed against the party crushers, strengthened by renewed bonds. Several days later, the scene shifted to a lively pleasure district filled with crowds and glowing signs. Inside a love hotel, Soma found himself lying on a bed beside a girl who seemed fully prepared for something far beyond his expectations. Stunned and sweating, he stared in disbelief, unable to comprehend how events had spiraled into such a situation.
A few days after returning from the hot spring, the isekai traveler walks through a decorated town street. Banners hang overhead while crowds enjoy their time, yet he looks detached from the festive mood. Boredom weighs on him, peace has replaced danger, and the quiet routine feels dull compared to past adventures. Gorifus spends his day at an idle tour. Clay and Dean attend a magic book fair, absorbed in their interests. Maria follows her own plans in the workshop, while Sophia remains occupied with church responsibilities. Watching everyone busy, he considers finding a hobby to give purpose to his uneventful days. In a narrow street, two men corner a Magic Academy student, near a wall covered in notices. The traveler notices the uneasy scene as the girl stands frozen before them. The men pressure her for help with magic, leaning closer while she struggles to respond. Fear shows in her trembling posture. Sweat gathers on her face as she refuses again. One man grabs her arm, insisting she cooperate. Before things escalate, the traveler steps forward and pulls the man back. He points out her fear and orders him to stop. Anger rises as the aggressor grips the traveler's collar, demanding to know who dared interfere. The aggressor mocks the traveler's plain appearance while tightening his grip. Bystanders hesitate, sensing the tension rising in the alley. Recognition slowly dawns on one of the men. Sweat forms on his face as he studies the traveler more carefully. Whispers spread between them as they connect him to rumors of powerful feats and feared companions. The traveler stands awkwardly, unsure how to react. Memories of his exploits surface in their minds, exaggerating his image into something dangerous and unpredictable. Panic replaces confidence. Convinced they provoked someone terrifying, the men release him and flee, leaving the stunned traveler behind. After the men flee, the traveler stands alone in the alley. Confusion overwhelms him as he questions how his reputation has grown so distorted. The tension drains from his body, and he nearly collapses in disbelief. The academy student approaches with a gentle smile and extends her hand. Gratitude fills her expression as she thanks him for stepping in. She mentions overhearing the rumors earlier and realizes who he is. Surprise crosses his face when she asks if he is Toma. Introducing herself as Koyuki, a first year at Jiranka Magic Academy, she bows politely. With shy determination, she reveals she has been searching for him. Koyuki shyly admits she has heard many rumors about him and reveals she has been searching for him specifically. Blushing intensely, she gathers her courage and declares that she believes he might be the person connected to her destiny. Her excitement contrasts with his stunned silence. Shock spreads across his face as he struggles to process her words. In the middle of his confusion, she notices his shirt button is about to fall off. Panicking, she insists on fixing it immediately, blaming herself for not acting sooner. Determined, Koyuki refuses to let her savior leave looking untidy, while Toma stands overwhelmed. Koyuki confidently takes responsibility for fixing his shirt and suggests moving somewhere suitable. Toma hesitates but admits he cannot handle it properly in the street. She quickly offers to guide him. As they walk, he suddenly realizes he has seen this place before when Maria once brought him there. The building comes into view, revealing it is a love hotel. Shock overtakes him as he shouts in disbelief. Inside, Koyuki calmly explains it is simply a facility for resting. Toma watches nervously as she prepares the room. Moments later, he stands awkwardly while she innocently asks him to undress so she can repair the button. Inside the room, Koyuki cheerfully begins preparing to sew his loose button. While examining his clothes more closely, she notices another problem. A tear in his pants catches her attention. She calmly informs him that it also needs fixing. Before he can protest, she insists on handling everything herself. Toma awkwardly sits still as she works quickly and without hesitation. Steam soon fills the bathroom, as she suggests he take a bath to avoid catching a cold. Though embarrassed, he convinces himself her intentions are innocent. After washing up, he returns to find her waiting with his repaired clothes, standing quietly in the room. When Toma steps out, Koyuki suddenly covers herself with a cloth. Her face burning red, his startled reaction fills the room with awkward tension. Instead of retreating, she smiles with a strange intensity after realizing he saw her. A bold spark appears in her eyes. Cold air swirls violently as Toma senses magic forming. Shock spreads across his face as she unleashes a sudden burst of power. With swift force, she throws him onto the bed, declaring there is no need to hold back. The mattress shakes from the impact. Landing on top of him, she pins him down and questions whether he dislikes girls who act boldly. Koyuki, flushed and breathing heavily, confesses her certainty that he will accept her. Determination shows through her embarrassment as she leans closer. Toma lies stunned beneath her, insisting he only meant to help. Meanwhile, she gazes down with shining eyes.
In a quiet inn room, Koyuki stands close to Toma, her towel barely secured. Steam hangs in the air. Toma freezes on the bed, startled by her sudden boldness. She steps forward with confidence, claiming she is prepared. Alarm spreads across his face as he raises his arms defensively. Shock overwhelms him. His thoughts race, unable to understand how events escalated so quickly. Embarrassment tightens his expression while Koyuki observes him with playful satisfaction. Silence settles between them. Though alone together, Toma cannot grasp why the situation feels completely beyond his control. Koyuki assures Toma she will handle everything. Before he can react, she climbs onto the bed and leans over him. Startled, he recoils and tries to stop her advance. She moves closer with a flushed smile, pressing against him. Toma struggles to hold her back, his body tense and unprepared. Suddenly, a strange sensation spreads through him. His eyes widen as he feels his strength draining away. Koyuki pauses, noticing his reaction. They separate slightly, facing each other in confusion. Blushing deeply, she admits her strong feelings. Certain of their bond, she believes he is the one meant for her. Koyuki speaks earnestly about destiny, but Toma questions where that certainty began. Suspicion forms as he recalls something she mentioned earlier. He presses further, asking about the source of her belief. A memory surfaces of someone who granted her unusual abilities. Realization strikes him. His guard had lowered because no danger was detected, yet the pattern now feels deliberate. Koyuki explains that another person declared Toma her destined partner. The claim hangs heavily between them, embarrassed. She admits similar moments happened before, though each turned out to be illusions. Doubt replaces her earlier confidence. Koyuki admits that every man she once served eventually weakened after only a few encounters. Toma listens, confused by the pattern she describes. Memories surface of her school days and the boys who gradually disappeared. With nowhere to stay, she relied on someone who claimed to be her destined partner. Toma realizes that each man came to see her as a burden. She insists those events belong to the past. Looking at him with certainty, she declares he is different and truly meant for her. Then she kneels on the bed and pledges herself wholeheartedly, asking to remain by his side. Toma pulls back in alarm and demands to know who she truly is. Koyuki lowers herself on the bed, remaining calm, despite his tension. With a gentle smile, she finally reveals her nature. She explains that she is a Yuki Onna, a snow woman. She adds that her kind requires something essential to survive. Toma listens carefully, sensing the seriousness behind her words. The answer becomes clear. A Yuki Onna sustains herself through the vitality of men, the very strength he felt slipping away. Recalling her past, Toma realizes why others abandoned her. Initial affection always faded, once their energy weakened, leaving her alone. Again, Koyuki explains that she only needs a steady supply of vitality each day. Toma stiffens at the scale of what she considers normal. She insists her teacher assured her that he would never abandon her. Doubt crosses his face as he questions that unseen influence. Exhausted and desperate, she pleads for help, admitting she has reached her limit. Her hands press against him as she seeks relief. Toma hesitates, torn between refusal and concern for her survival. Accepting may cost him greatly. While he struggles to decide, a sudden disturbance appears above them, hinting that an outside force is watching. As Toma hesitates, a strange familiar appears on the ceiling, silently observing the scene. The creature watches with clear intent. Elsewhere, a dark-haired woman calmly prepares a meal and reveals the truth. Saving Koyuki will require more than simple resolve. She explains that Koyuki is born to drain men in order to survive. Her nature makes her a natural destroyer of those who grow close. Koyuki's identity is clarified as one of the enchanting apostles who manipulate fleeting dreams. Back in the room, Toma realizes that without genuine kindness from a man, Koyuki cannot continue living. Koyuki smiles shyly and asks for his help, her face flushed yet hopeful. Toma studies her expression, realizing she truly depends on him. Suddenly, he shifts his posture and pulls her closer with unexpected resolve. His hesitation fades as he decides to act. Momentum changes in an instant. He positions himself firmly, startling Koyuki with the sudden reversal. Elsewhere, the dark-haired woman senses the disturbance and looks up from her meal. Back on the bed, Koyuki trembles in surprise at his boldness. Calm but serious, Toma reminds her that this act is necessary for her survival, taking control of the situation at last. Toma turns away and steadies his breathing. Koyuki misunderstands, thinking he acts only out of desire, and tension rises between them. She insists she truly wants to serve him, denying his assumption. Her voice carries urgency as he struggles to explain himself. With frustration, Toma admits he has no experience and refuses to treat this lightly. He declares his first time should be with someone he genuinely loves. The dark-haired woman listens in silence, while Koyuki trembles, unsure how to respond to his resolve. When doubt clouds her thoughts, Toma reassures her that inexperience does not make her impure. Koyuki praises Toma's kindness while he turns away, embarrassed. Despite accepting his stance, she reminds him that she still needs a man's vitality to survive. With renewed determination, Toma declares he will protect his principles, yet offer his strength instead. Confusion spreads across their faces as they try to grasp his intention. Uncertainty lingers, leaving his true plan unclear.
In a snow-covered village, the snow women are introduced as a rare race of only females. When one loves a man of another race and bears a child, that daughter is born a snow woman who depends on her father's vitality. During childhood, her father transfers vitality directly to her. Survival and growth rely on this steady exchange. Koyuki possesses extraordinary magical talent, requiring far more vitality than others. Her father continues giving without hesitation. Years of constant depletion drain his strength. By her 18th year, exhaustion overwhelms him. Vitality can be withheld briefly, but prolonged suppression weakens her body over time. Koyuki's mother tells her it is time to stand on her own. As a snow woman, she must eventually find someone who accepts her nature and can support her future. The idea unsettles Koyuki, who still clings to her father, refusing to let go. She insists her father belongs to her. However, reality forces change. To prepare for independence, Koyuki enrolls in the 6-year Taranka Magic Academy, where she must search for a suitable partner. At the academy dormitory, she soon encounters a young man connected to her fate. He cares for her and willingly shares his vitality, easing her burden for the first time. Despite repeated meetings, the boy struggles to satisfy Koyuki's overwhelming need for vitality. Each time he believes it is enough, her body demands more, leaving him shaken and frustrated. Eventually, the strain becomes unbearable. He admits he cannot continue, even after claiming they were meant to be together. His withdrawal leaves Koyuki stunned. Although hurt, she accepts his decision. Deep down, she senses he was never truly capable of supporting her destiny. At that moment, a composed woman with sharp eyes approaches. Observing the situation calmly, with quiet confidence, the newcomer declares that the boy was not Koyuki's destined partner, leaving her speechless. The composed woman explains that the boy only chased desire and never intended to shoulder Koyuki's burden. Seeking destiny blindly would only lead to more disappointment. She advises Koyuki to meet many people instead of clinging to a single promise. Limiting herself would only prolong her suffering. Gently taking her hand, the woman urges her to search actively for a partner until her true destined one appears. Koyuki listens, uncertain yet attentive, introducing herself as an ally to troubled girls. The woman offers guidance and validation. Under her instruction, Koyuki becomes more efficient at absorbing vitality, yet even after countless encounters. Around that time, Koyuki first heard of Toma. The name lingers in her thoughts, stirring quiet curiosity. When they meet, Toma questions her unusual condition. He learns that she can absorb vitality without intimacy, something rare among snow women. Through careful discussion, he realizes simple physical contact is enough for her to draw strength. Gloves help her avoid taking vitality from unintended people. Understanding her restraint, Toma notes that absorbing this way lowers efficiency, but preserves boundaries. Observing her actions closely, he concludes she seeks survival, not exploitation, and carries no ill will in her heart. Toma steps closer and offers his vitality without hesitation. He encourages Koyuki to simply touch him and take what she needs. As she absorbs his life energy, she worries that taking such strength must require repayment. The act leaves her uneasy, despite the relief. Toma dismisses the idea of gains or losses, believing their growing bond makes calculation unnecessary. His view contrasts with her caution. Even so, Koyuki fears dependence will turn her into a burden in his eyes. That doubt weighs heavily on her heart. Toma pauses, reflecting seriously on her concern while she watches his reaction in silence. After reflecting on her fears, Koyuki proposes a different path. Instead of relying only on vitality, she asks Toma to teach her magic so she can grow stronger on her own. Toma admits he knows talented magicians, but lacks teaching skill. Even so, he agrees to support her efforts. Koyuki reveals she possesses magical power yet struggles to control it. Training together could reduce her dependence. As they speak, she wonders if she fits his ideal partner. Toma answers honestly, acknowledging her charm while recalling his earlier words. Hearing that mutual love should come first, Koyuki smiles softly, hopeful about their future. Having made up her mind, Koyuki asks Toma to turn around. She removes her gloves, preparing to rely on direct contact. Once he faces away, she presses herself against his back and places her hand on his chest. The sudden closeness startles him. With increased contact, her absorption becomes far more efficient. Vitality flows steadily into her, easing the constant strain within her body. Overwhelmed by the richness of his energy, Koyuki reacts intensely. The warmth and density of his vitality surprise her. Meanwhile, Toma struggles to endure the awkward proximity. As she clings to him, her rising excitement leaves them both flustered. After the intense exchange, the room falls silent. The strain on Toma's body becomes obvious as he struggles to steady himself. Koyuki, now glowing with satisfaction, realizes she absorbed more vitality than intended. Embarrassment mixes with relief as she admits her mistake. Surprisingly, Toma recovers quickly. He reveals that a rare skill grants him limitless vitality, preventing lasting harm. This unexpected ability changes everything. For the first time, Koyuki meets someone who can support her without collapsing. Grateful and reassured, she thanks him sincerely. Toma responds casually, telling her she can rely on him whenever she needs strength. After learning about his limitless vitality, Toma tells Koyuki she can now continue searching for her destined partner properly. Sitting beside him, Koyuki reflects on her mother's words. She begins to understand that true destiny is not someone who only seeks her, but someone who shows kindness and consideration. With a gentle smile, she admits she finally understands what she has been searching for all along. When Toma says he is cheering for her future love, she turns the thought back toward him. Leaning closer, Koyuki confesses she has already found her destined one, leaving Toma stunned. Elsewhere, a dark-haired woman sits alone, disbelief written across her face. Meanwhile, Tama prepares to leave town with Koyuki at his side. As they walk together, Koyuki clings to his arm and refuses to be separated. Her resolve to stay with him only deepens. Under the night sky, she silently vows to work harder so that one day he will return her feelings. Toma hesitates, uncertain how to respond. Before he can answer, a heavy object crashes onto the street ahead, blocking their path. A familiar woman stands amid the fallen goods, radiating anger. Toma freezes as he recognizes Maria's presence. Maria calmly contacts the city guards using a communication device, reporting that an adventurer is behaving inappropriately with a minor. As her report concludes, frustration overwhelms Toma. What began as a quiet day quickly turns into public chaos.
Morning light spread across the room as Toma slept peacefully. Beside his bed, Koyuki leaned close with a calm, satisfied expression, completely at ease in his apartment. Without warning, he woke and found her on the floor. Startled, Toma rushed toward her, confusion replacing his drowsiness. Gazing up at him, Koyuki appeared puzzled, as if her staying over required no explanation. Memories surfaced in his mind. Her health concern had been settled, yet another problem lingered. After being expelled from the dormitory, she had nowhere to stay. Unable to abandon her, Toma offered shelter, knowing this choice might disturb his quiet life. Toma insisted the bed belonged to Koyuki as the guest, yet she argued that he was the owner of the house. Neither accepted the other's reasoning, leaving the sleeping arrangement unresolved. After a brief exchange, they reached a compromise and decided to sleep side by side on the floor, instead of using the bed. Morning brought a shift in mood. Koyuki, slightly flustered, hinted that their closeness was no longer unusual, suggesting their relationship had quietly changed. She then asked for her usual morning routine, reminding him that their earlier contact was necessary for her condition. In the kitchen, the ritual repeated. Though embarrassed, Toma complied, aware that efficiency was her justification. Even as the intimacy steadily deepened, heat filled the apartment as Toma and Koyuki continued their close routine. Sweat covered their skin, and the intensity of the moment rose beyond comfort. Although he understood this contact helped stabilize her condition, the stimulation overwhelmed him. Footsteps suddenly echoed from outside, rushing toward the door. The entrance burst open as two imposing figures forced their way inside, demanding to know if the traitor was hiding there. Their presence froze the room. Recognizing familiar faces, Toma raised his hands in panic. Accusations followed, claiming he had betrayed their bond. Before he could explain, another woman stepped forward. With firm resolve, she revealed that she had reported him, turning suspicion into undeniable conflict. Toma tried to clarify the misunderstanding, reminding Maria that he had already explained the situation involving Koyuki earlier. Maria dismissed his defense with irritation, claiming she had already informed the others about his supposed heroic actions. The two comrades stepped forward with threatening resolve, declaring they could execute him with any spell and even allow him to choose how he would fall. Before the tension escalated further, Koyuki rushed ahead and blocked them, urgently stopping their attack while insisting that Toma had helped her. After hearing the explanation, the men reconsidered. Realizing nothing improper had happened, they awkwardly concluded that Toma's innocence remained intact. Relief settled in the room as Toma reaffirmed the unbreakable bond among the three friends. Yet Maria remained dissatisfied, reminding them that another woman was still involved. A sudden noise interrupted the discussion. Furniture shook violently, and Toma turned in confusion as a heavy presence approached. From the shadows emerged Sophia, cloaked in dark intent, gripping a massive hammer. Her cold stare silenced everyone. Without hesitation, she declared her purpose, to eliminate the supposed temptress clinging to Toma. The weapon struck the floor with explosive force. Koyuki stiffened, sensing danger. She wondered if Sophia's anger targeted Toma as well. While he stood frozen, unsure how the situation had spiraled again, Sophia attacked in rage, smashing the room while Toma shielded Koyuki. Wood splintered as he tried to stop her. Bruised but steady, he endured the blows and clarified the misunderstanding. Sophia, realizing her mistake, grew embarrassed. Their comrades repaired the shattered walls with magic, restoring the house within moments. Koyuki treated Toma's injuries and quietly noted how strongly others cared for him. Sophia then asked about Koyuki's stay. After a brief exchange, they agreed she would remain there until she secured a new home. Toma reluctantly agreed to the arrangement, raising his hand with visible unease as the tension in the room slowly eased. Sophia declared she would return to her duties, yet insisted she would still see Toma daily. Her lingering attachment was obvious, leaving Koyuki quietly attentive. During their exchange, Sophia openly revealed her true nature as a succubus, surprising Koyuki. Koyuki calmly questioned how Sophia sustained herself, noting the difference between their needs. With quiet confidence, Koyuki stated that Toma remained pure in matters of love, implying Sophia would never obtain what she sought, which only deepened her frustration. With quiet intensity, Koyuki concluded that Toma's vitality remained exclusively hers for now, her gaze sharpening with subtle resolve, abruptly changing tone. Sophia leaned toward Toma and asked whether he was free for the upcoming holiday, catching him off guard. Koyuki answered in his place, revealing the event as the Tenrin Triumph Festival, known as Halloween, in his former world. Their comrades explained that the celebration honored the hero who defeated the Demon King, with citizens wearing costumes in tribute. Remembering last year's event, Tomei acknowledged it, while Koyuki observed that even the Holy Seal held a grand festival during the occasion. Sophia suddenly grasped Toma's hands and eagerly asked him to attend the festival with her. The bold invitation left him startled. Before he could answer, Koyuki stepped in with a gentle smile, suggesting she join as well. Toma stiffened as the tension between them grew. Their companions quickly volunteered to come along, turning the private invitation into a group outing. Faced with everyone's expectations, Toma hesitantly agreed. Sophia sighed in resignation, realizing that inviting him meant sharing the moment with others. Just as plans formed, one friend declined, choosing to attend a special idol performance instead, leaving the festival outing to the rest.
News spreads about Odoriko's special performance. One member commits to attending, shifting the group's plans, while the white mage listens quietly. Confusion follows as reactions differ. Toma stays calm, thinking about reaching out and considering who will participate. At the plaza, attendees gather near a fountain. Costumes are encouraged. Wearing a suit, Toma reflects on how unusual it feels in another world. Suddenly, a cheerful girl in a bold outfit rushes forward. Calling attention to him and energizing the scene, she presents her attire as support for heroes. Faced with her enthusiasm, Toma grows self-conscious, unsure how he fits into the celebration. Toma arrives early at the plaza, slightly bothered yet composed in his suit. A cheerful girl thanks him and praises how well it suits him, easing the tension. Soon after, a man in a white robe approaches, adjusting his glasses with confidence. His attire draws attention, fitting the role of a refined healer. Nearby, a young elf girl with a backpack observes the lively crowd. She notes how humans enjoy festivals, watching the scene with cautious curiosity. Attention shifts to her school-style outfit, explained as clothing that represents education and opportunity in the hero's homeland. As cheers echo, Toma stands apart under the night sky, reflecting quietly on the meaning behind their costumes. 2. Women approach Toma in striking outfits, one dressed as a nurse and the other in a festive red costume. Their bold appearance catches him off guard as he turns in surprise. The girl in red explains that her clothing represents a holy robe that blesses children. She proudly presents it as a symbolic tribute. Beside her, the nurse outfit is described as attire worn by assistants who support healers. The explanation carries playful confidence. Observing them, the white mage reflects on how devoted they seem to the hero's image. Suddenly, the girl in red clings to Toma, praising his appearance while the rest of the group watches. Toma steadies himself after the sudden embrace, regaining composure as the group gathers near the fountain. With everyone assembled, he suggests exploring the festival together. They move through crowded stalls filled with games and food. Laughter rises as some try shooting targets, while others guide Toma toward a small scooping game. Walking between booths, Toma feels a quiet nostalgia. The lively lights and decorations remind him of festivals from his previous life. When asked about those memories, he admits the beginning once felt uncertain. Even so, he does not long to return. Looking ahead, Toma recalls his promise to build a strong party, choosing to focus on the future. Toma smiles calmly and declares he has a new goal. Rather than dwelling on the past, he chooses to build friendships in this world. When asked about the hero's fate, he recalls that the hero remained here, spending his days beside the saint nearby. The others enjoy festival treats under the lantern lights. Their laughter suggests the hero must have discovered reasons to treasure this place. Standing together, Toma and the girl share a quiet understanding, both content with the life before them. Suddenly, a warning breaks the mood as strange changes appear, signaling unexpected trouble. Toma forces a light laugh as tension flickers between the girls. Despite the playful chaos, he admits they must address Aisu-chan's issue if they want peace in this world. Meanwhile, the parade begins and the crowd thickens under bright lights. The group gathers together, noticing that Gornoff's favorite performer is about to appear. Questions spread among them about the dancer's identity. Uncertainty turns to concern as they try to recall her name. The name Nosfera is spoken, and shock crosses their faces. The festive mood shifts instantly. Unease lingers as they wonder how closely this performer is connected to their current troubles. From the stage, news spreads that the performer is the top-ranked killer Ava and a powerful enchantress. Alarm crosses the group as they realize Gornoff could be in danger. Under bright lights, her statistics and influence are revealed to the roaring crowd. Tension rises as her presence dominates the festival. Stepping forward, she begins her grand performance. While the audience cheers, Toma understands the celebration now hides a serious threat.
Gornoff's rise as an idol unsettled Toma, especially because of the woman called a party crusher, who now stood at the center of his attention. Some of the four heroes had crossed paths with her before, while others only knew rumors. Uncertainty spread as the stage lights flared. Music roared through the hall as she appeared, moving with confidence. The audience froze briefly, then erupted in cheers. Each gesture intensified the excitement. Fans waved signs and leaned forward, drawn in by her presence. Glittering lights framed her final pose. From below, Toma sensed Gornoff was completely captivated. The concert reached its peak as the idol dominated the stage. Thunderous cheers shook the hall while confetti drifted through the air. She leaned toward the crowd, delivering her opening song with fierce energy. Her voice carried confidence that tightened her hold over the audience. Among the sea of waving arms, Toma scanned the faces, wondering if Gornoff was hidden there. The fans moved in uncanny unity. Concern spread through the group as they realized certain individuals might be targeted. Regrouping became their immediate priority. A plan formed quickly. Splitting up to search the massive crowd, they prepared to protect Gornoff before the situation spiraled further. A thunderous shout echoed through the venue, startling Toma and his companion. Confusion spread across their faces as the noise cut through the music. Suddenly, a towering beastman pointed accusingly at them. His fierce glare and booming voice drew attention from nearby fans. The man barked orders while others in matching outfits saluted sharply. Toma and the bespectacled mage stiffened as they realized he held authority. Declaring their duty to support the idol with full devotion, the captain rallied his squad. In perfect formation, they pledged unwavering enthusiasm. After issuing strict instructions to remain vigilant, the captain paused. Facing Toma and his ally, he hesitated, uncertainty flickering beneath his stern expression. Two overzealous fans grabbed the bespectacled mage, demanding respect for their captain. Tension rose as the beastman leader approached to intervene. With booming pride, the squad proclaimed Gornoff's greatness, praising his passion, virtue, and loyalty to their idol. Their devotion echoed across the venue. Overwhelmed by the praise, Gornoff clutched his head in embarrassment. Toma gasped for breath beside him as the guards suddenly halted, startled by a new presence. The idol stepped forward from the stage lights and calmly stopped the confrontation. She declared the men to be her friends, silencing the squad instantly. Facing the crowd again, she announced an important message before the next song, drawing every ear back to her. Facing the roaring crowd, the idol announced she would recruit a bodyguard squad to handle recent disturbances. She urged someone to protect her during live performances. Excited fans shouted in approval, while she added that the role would be paid. Enthusiasm surged even higher at the promise of reward. Shock spread across Toma and his companion as they realized her clever move. The offer shifted the crowd's focus instantly. When Toma tried to approach Gornoff, he was brushed aside. Gornoff remained absorbed in cheering, unwilling to leave. Later, the group gathered around a table to discuss the situation, preparing their next step. After gathering at the table, the bespectacled mage pointed out that Nosfera seemed to be Gornoff's favorite. Toma carefully brought up the issue of the party crusher. Gornoff's expression hardened as he questioned their claims. Suspicion flickered across his face. The elf girl calmly explained that Nosfera had once been connected to their teacher. The revelation deepened the tension in the room. Arms crossed, Gornoff wondered if the bodyguard plan was meant to pull him away from the group. Doubt weighed heavily on him. Leaning forward, Toma urged him to trust them, determined to break through his hesitation. Gornoff admitted he did not believe his friends were deceiving him, yet hesitation lingered in his eyes. Clasping his hands, he declared his faith in Nosfera. Even if she carried the label of party crusher, he insisted there must be a reason. The others exchanged uneasy looks while asking whether anything suspicious had ever happened before. Gornoff remained calm and steady. He explained that watching her shine on stage only inspired him further. To him, she had always been number one. When pressed again, he firmly denied any wrongdoing. The group fell silent, struggling to find proof strong enough to sway his conviction. Gornoff calmly explained that live shows alone could not cover expenses. Devoted citizens supported Nosfera further by purchasing merchandise, treating it as an additional tax. The mage clarified the meaning of those taxes, while Gornoff proudly described themselves as her loyal citizens. Understanding slowly spread around the table. With folded arms, Gornoff insisted the system felt natural. In return for their payments, they received goods and the joy of supporting her. The others recalled how Tuma had sacrificed quest rewards before. Gornoff acknowledged that everyone chose their own way to back a favorite. Smiling without regret, he declared he would rather buy her goods than save money, leaving the group stunned. Gornoff proudly revealed the price of his cheering outfit, calling it a bargain, despite the staggering cost. Toma nearly choked on his drink at the number. The girls stared at him in disbelief, calculating how many years of tuition that sum could cover. Shock spread across their faces. Zone argued that such money could save countless lives, while another muttered that it was absurd. The mage quietly noted how many rare books it could have bought. Turning serious, they asked whether he intended to join the bodyguard squad. Toma admitted overspending was wrong, yet words alone would not sway him. Gornoff calmly explained the work was limited to live shows, insisting he could balance devotion and friendship. Toma realized they could not force Gornoff to quit. Leaving him isolated would only repeat past mistakes, so he chose a different approach. Soon after, an interview venue was prepared for the new bodyguard squad. Applicants lined up as the plan quietly moved forward. Nosfera encouraged those who passed, counting on their loyalty. Selected candidates stood proudly, pledging absolute protection during every performance. Behind the scenes, Toma and his allies resolved to infiltrate the squad. For Gornoff's sake, they prepared to guard him from within.
A carriage rolls through the city as the young adventurer escorts Nosfera, recently assigned as her personal guard. Weeks have passed without incident, and she has shown no suspicious behavior. On stage, bright lights surround her while the crowd waves glow sticks in unison. She stands at the center, commanding attention with natural confidence. Energy fills the hall as her performance pushes beyond expectations. Sweat runs down her face, yet her focus never breaks. Training continues indoors where she practices seriously. Between sessions, she greets supporters and remembers the guards by name. Later, doubt is questioned. Gradually, admiration replaces suspicion in her guard's heart. Inside, a quiet room. The veteran warrior questions Nosfera's motives. The young guard insists there is no real issue and believes the situation may be a misunderstanding. Concern remains as the older man argues that even if she uses charm to advance her dancing career, it causes no direct harm. His tone suggests caution rather than trust. Silence follows while the guard reflects on those words. Doubt lingers in his mind, and uncertainty slowly replaces his earlier confidence. During the carriage ride, he watches the streets pass and wonders whether her techniques are meant only to gain admiration. Suspicion quietly grows. Upon arrival, they are directed toward a small tavern hidden in a dead-end alley, shifting their focus back to duty. Within the small tavern, a simple stage waits behind drawn curtains, while a few customers sit at the bar. The guards quietly observe the room and its narrow layout. After a careful sweep, they find no immediate threat. Both remain alert near the entrance and stage, ready for any disturbance. Attention turns to her dedication, noting that she performs solo shows, even while belonging to a large idol group. Small venues never discourage her efforts. Her unit structure is explained, emphasizing how she commits fully to each activity. Consistent work supports her steady growth. Gradually, respect replaces doubt in the young guard's thoughts. As they stand backstage, the veteran reminds his partner that ambition alone does not make someone an enemy. Before the discussion continues, Nosfera approaches with a bright expression, greeting them cheerfully. Both guards respond firmly, straightening their posture. Determination replaces earlier doubt as they reaffirm their duty to protect her performance. With lively confidence, she explains that only the two of them are assigned today. Trust rests on their shoulders while she prepares for the stage. Soon, she heads toward the waiting room, leaving instructions behind. Responsibility settles heavily on the pair. Watching her leave, admiration grows stronger, and quiet curiosity begins forming in the young guard's mind. The young guard bluntly points out the veteran's weakness toward beautiful women. Rather than denying it, the older warrior calmly admits the flaw. Memories surface of past mistakes made for charm, family debts, and misplaced trust. Regret lingers behind his composed expression. He recalls being deceived more than once, forced into desperate situations and narrow escapes. Experience, however, has hardened his judgment. Nonce he swore never to fall in love again after betrayal left him humiliated. That vow shaped his guarded heart. Now watching the lively crowd before the stage, he studies the idol carefully, determined not to repeat the same errors. The veteran recalls the moment he first met Nosfera, remembering how her voice and presence struck him deeply. That encounter unsettled the resolve he once believed unbreakable. Calmly, he explains that dance began as a prayer to the goddess, a way to express feelings without words. Such movement, he claims, can pull someone from despair within minutes. While the stage lights shine, Nosfera sings and dances with unwavering focus. Her goal is simple: to make everyone watching her smile. A staff member interrupts, announcing that preparation time has arrived. Duty calls them back to their positions. Before parting, trust is placed firmly on the young guard's shoulders. The veteran suddenly scolds his partner for hesitating, insisting that Nosfera must not be disturbed. Nearby, the producer suggests someone fetch her, adding tension to the moment. Protectiveness flares as the older guard argues that interrupting her practice would be unacceptable. Loyalty, in his view, means ensuring her focus remains untouched. Dramatic warnings follow, though the younger guard responds calmly and prepares to handle the task. Their bond remains intact, despite the outburst. Footsteps echo along the corridor as he approaches a door labeled as her waiting room. He raises his hand and knocks firmly. Steadying himself, he recalls her habit of concentrating until the last second, yet resolves to call for her anyway. Inside the waiting room, Nosfera turns in surprise as the young guard enters. Realizing the time, she immediately understands that the live show is about to begin. Without hesitation, she rushes to change, but her foot slips on the floor. In an instant, the guard lunges forward and catches her before she hits the ground. Momentum carries them a step back, yet he steadies her carefully. She smiles, brushing off the near fall as if it were nothing serious. Calmly, she insists she would perform even if injured, believing some moments cannot be abandoned. Her determination leaves him speechless. Grateful yet composed, she thanks him. He accepts it quietly, reminded of his duty to protect her. After steadying her, the young guard offers a brief thanks. Nosfera responds with a bright smile, praising him warmly for his quick reaction. Before he can step away, she suddenly presses closer, blocking the door behind him. Surprise flashes across his face as the distance between them vanishes. Composing herself, she calls him kind, despite not being her devoted fan. The compliment leaves him flustered and unsure how to respond. Her expression then sharpens, confidence replacing softness. She observes that he has influenced even those closest to her, hinting at his growing presence. Shadows frame her as she admits a lingering debt to someone who once saved her, suggesting deeper motives beneath her smile. Nosfera corners the young guard and studies his reaction closely. She suggests that winning him over would not be difficult. Confusion spreads across his face as he tries to deny the implication. Doubt and flustered thoughts clash while she maintains calm control of the situation. Leaning in without hesitation, she closes the distance between them. His breath falters as her boldness tests his resolve.
The white mage teased the young adventurer and slipped him her address. Her bold behavior left him uneasy as he realized she was also a rising idol. With a confident wink, she urged him to attend her live show. The gesture carried authority, making refusal difficult. After pushing him out so she could change, she remained alone. Uncertainty crossed her face as the room grew quiet. Facing the mirror, she remembered her mentor's guidance. Becoming number one had started with gratitude and effort. As a child, she once saw a street performer ignored by strangers. That memory shaped her resolve to stand proudly on stage. The memory of a desperate street performer stayed with her. That dazzling figure shaped the course of her life and ignited her desire to stand on stage. She enrolled in an academy, hoping to become someone just as radiant. Dreams felt close as she stepped toward formal training. Reality proved harsher. Performing in small taverns before indifferent patrons replaced her early fantasies. At first, she blamed her lack of skill and continued practicing with determination. Soon, ridicule from classmates cut deeper than failure. Their laughter forced her to confront a world far less kind than she imagined. The producer grinned and hinted that becoming center required understanding hidden conditions. His words carried a weight that unsettled her, Darkness parted as a mysterious woman appeared, offering a chance to change her fate. The promise felt tempting yet ominous. That stranger stood boldly before them, power filling the room. The producer watched calmly while she struggled to grasp what was happening. Suddenly, the air grew still. Movement ceased around her, and fear spread across her face as she realized something unnatural had occurred. With a knowing smile, the woman revealed the harsh truth of idols, leaving her shaken and questioning the dream she once admired. The mysterious woman restrained the producer and spoke of drowning fans in endless fantasies. Her control over the room was immediate and unsettling. She offered guidance, claiming hard work would finally be rewarded. Her promise carried both temptation and threat. Cornered and uncertain, the young idol questioned her intentions. The stranger implied there was no other escape. Ambition overcame fear as she reached forward. Achieving her dream seemed possible if she obeyed. Once she followed those teachings, visible results appeared, marking the start of her transformation. Her striking image and carefully chosen songs drew attention. Fans began calling her name with excitement. Small tavern stages turned into steady support. She performed without revealing weakness, building approval step by step. Rumors at school followed her, yet she ignored them and focused on improvement. Effort remained her constant strength. Even those who once doubted her started showing admiration. Confidence replaced earlier uncertainty. Large crowds eventually filled concert halls, waving lights in unison. Standing above them all, she saw her dream realized through persistence and firm control. Night settled over her large estate. Inside, she rested alone in a quiet, luxurious room. Determination lingered in her thoughts as she resolved to fulfill her mentor's wish. The doorbell echoed through the hall. Expectation crossed her face as she wondered if Tuma had arrived. Another chime sounded while she moved toward the entrance. Doubt surfaced briefly, questioning why her mentor valued him. Footsteps carried her down the stairs. Despite her success, she reflected on how easily men were drawn in. Outside the gate stood Tuma, smiling nervously. She opened the door and welcomed him inside. They sat across from each other in the quiet mansion. She expressed relief that he had come, while he admitted hesitation. The atmosphere remained polite but slightly tense. Without warning, she announced she would shower and left him startled. He tried to respond, yet she had already turned away, teasing him playfully. She tested his reaction before dismissing it as a joke. Embarrassment spread across his face as she disappeared down the hall. Left alone, he steadied himself and reviewed his purpose for coming. Determination replaced confusion. Water echoed from upstairs while time passed slowly. He waited quietly, gathering his thoughts. He jolted upright as she returned, startled by her sudden presence. An apology for the wait only deepened his confusion. Steam surrounded her figure as she stood in a loose robe. His composure nearly collapsed at the sight. Closing the distance, she leaned toward him and tested his restraint. The teasing pressure forced him back against the seat. Despite the temptation, he activated a calming skill and steadied his breathing. Focus replaced impulse in a crucial moment. Instead of surrendering, he stopped her advance and stated his true purpose. The atmosphere shifted from seduction to serious intent. He faced her directly and declared he had a request. The playful mood vanished as his expression turned serious. Kneeling before her, he asked that she stop harming Ganoff. He acknowledged her debt to her mentor, but insisted it should end here. She attempted to interrupt and bargain, yet he pressed on, urging her to give up this pursuit. Confusion crossed her face when he chose friendship over temptation. The decision unsettled her pride. Echoes of cynical beliefs about men filled her thoughts, but his resolve challenged everything she had accepted as truth. Shock spread across her face when he rejected the situation entirely. His refusal to betray Ganoff left her unsettled. He clarified that admiration for her performance was separate from desire. The distinction frustrated her assumptions about men. A trembling smile formed as doubt surfaced. Accepting his sincerity would mean admitting her bitterness shaped everything. Emotion overwhelmed her, and she clung to him while blaming cruel circumstances. Years of resentment poured out at once. Even then, she tried to dismiss his request and redirect the moment. Yet his steady gaze refused to yield. He declared firmly that true friendship meant refusing betrayal. His conviction left her momentarily speechless. A slow smile formed as she processed his words. Admitting his sincerity felt unfamiliar, yet intriguing. Without warning, she lunged toward him, knocking him back onto the bed. The sudden movement shattered the tense stillness. Overwhelmed and flustered, she cried out for Ganoff as confusion spiraled. He stared at her, unsure what had just happened. The door burst open as Ganoff charged in furiously. Shock spread across the room, freezing both of them in place.
Inside a wrecked room, Tama faces Ganoff emerging from a dark portal, debris scattered between them. Near the wall, A small horned girl sits silently, while Ganoff claims he has become her personal bodyguard, tightening the tension. Elsewhere, the white mage watches with confidence, intending to use Ganoff as leverage to damage Toma's friendships. Realization dawns on Toma, and he steps forward, attempting to stop the scheme before it deepens. Ganoff swiftly covers the girl with his cloak and pulls her away as Toma chases after them, sensing events moving beyond his reach. Ganoff places his cloak around Nosfera and quietly asks what occurred, his posture protective. Crying softly, she claims she invited Tuma to express gratitude, yet implies something troubling happened. A faint smile hidden beneath her bangs. Doubt crosses Ganoff's face as he senses the story lacks clarity and suspects confusion behind her words. Under her sharp stare, he hurriedly denies any intent to question her. Composure returns as Ganoff affirms his faith in Tuma's character, leaving Tuma frozen in surprise behind him. Nosfera coldly questions Ganoff's doubt, implying he suspects her of lying. Alarmed, Ganoff insists there must have been some misunderstanding in Tuma's behavior. Abruptly, Ganoff drops to his knees and bows deeply, offering an apology in Tuma's place. Tuma watches in shock as the warrior humbles himself. Disgust flashes across Nosfera's face. She turns away, clearly repelled by the display. Frustration erupts as she lashes out, covering her ears and rejecting the situation entirely. Ganoff stiffens, while Tuma stands behind him, confused. With finality, Nosfera declares both of them dismissed, ending the confrontation and leaving silence in the hall. Ganoff lowers his head and accepts the dismissal, declaring that neither he nor Tuma deserves to stand as Nosfera's royal guard. The words fall heavily in the silent hall, turning away. Nosfera reacts sharply when she hears his self-denial, disbelief flashing across Ganoff's face. Suddenly, dark power erupts around her as she casts aside restraint, her cloak whipping through the air while her form shifts. Black, blade-like shapes spiral around her body, solidifying into weapons under her control. As her expression hardens, before Tuma can reach her, Nosfera unleashes blood manipulation magic, sending coagulated restraints surging toward both men. Black restraints surge forward, binding Tuma and Ganoff as they struggle against Nosfera's magic. Facing them, she accuses Ganoff of obsessively tracking her activities and forming inappropriate fan circles. Rather than argue, Ganoff bows his head and admits his behavior was improper. Wariness fills Nosfera's expression as she declares her disgust. Ganoff calmly confesses that his feelings had turned impure, while Tuma protests from behind him. Accepting her judgment, Ganoff openly states his love and acknowledges her anger, leaving the chamber heavy with tension. Ganoff calmly insists that admiration and romantic feelings can exist together, claiming her performances gave him courage. Nosfera rejects his reasoning without hesitation. Before he can continue, sharp restraints strike him, cutting off his words and forcing a pained reaction, composed despite the blow. Ganoff accepts the consequences and announces he will withdraw, acknowledging the guard will lose 2 members. Tuma steadies himself beside him. Turning her back, Nosfera reveals that the Royal Guard invitation was merely a lure meant to draw Tuma closer. Fury ignites in her eyes as she declares her strength, refusing protection and asserting she needs no man to shield her. Coagulated blood lashes through the hall once more, forcing Ganoff to shield Tuma as the restraints slice past them. His eyes widen, sensing the attack's true force. An explosive surge tears through the building, blasting outward and shattering walls, while Nosfera stands at the center of the chaos. Amid scattered rubble, Ganoff steadies himself and faces her. Nosfera coldly tells Tuma to leave and chase another fantasy instead of clinging to her. Smoke drifts across the courtyard as Ganoff acknowledges her words, reflecting that admirers often become disillusioned and depart. Later, before a crowd, Nosfera performs confidently, unfazed by those who leave, accustomed to admiration fading as quickly as it forms. Outside the shattered hall, Nosfera coldly tells them to leave, asking if they need another beating before going home. Tuma rubs his head while Ganoff stands firm. Ganoff answers calmly that supporters decide for themselves and promises to reflect if he caused trouble. Even if she despises him, he accepts it. With steady resolve, he declares that being saved by her will never be erased and vows lifelong loyalty as her fan. Later, the two walk through the city streets in silence. tension fading into exhaustion. Ganoff scratches his head in regret, admitting his foolishness, while Tuma gently suggests they share a drink. Tuma runs after Ganoff through the stone passage, calling his name and questioning whether blind devotion is all he intends to offer. Catching up, Tuma urges him to listen. Ganoff pauses, confused by the sudden challenge. Ganoff argues that other girls they met found resolution through their own strength, believing the outcomes were acceptable. Tuma counters that those resolutions did not erase their struggles, insisting Nosfera must also carry unseen burdens. Walking beneath the dim archway, Tuma reflects that none of them were fully saved, leaving the thought hanging heavily between them. Ganoff questions whether Nosfera truly suffers like the others. Tuma recalls that when she criticized him, her expression seemed strained despite her harsh words. Doubt flickers across Ganoff's face as Tuma admits he may not fully understand performers, yet believes her anger was not entirely genuine. Stepping closer, Tuma lightly taps Ganoff's chest and suggests he might be the one who can help her. Ganoff hesitates, worried he may be taking things too seriously again, while Tuma only laughs at the thought. With a steady grin, Tuma promises that if it becomes embarrassing, they will face it together, easing the tension between them. Together they stand in the city street, resolved to train harder, gather equipment, and face Nosfera again.
Several days later, a crowded idol festival filled the venue. Backstage, the white mage stood apart with her arms crossed while two performers faced her. A tense mood surrounded her before the show. Nearby, armored staff exchanged rumors about the captain and Tuma being dismissed. Fragments of gossip reached her ears, leaving a heavy feeling she could not ignore. Unease showed on her face as she struggled to steady herself. Regret surfaced, and she questioned why the news unsettled her so deeply. Soon, an announcement introduced a secret guest. Gathering focus, she prepared to step onto the stage. Under the spotlight, she appeared before the cheering crowd as the festival's leading idol. During the festival, fans talked about changing interests as Nosfera returned to the main stage. She reminded herself that she had achieved her goal. Beneath the lights, she reflected that affection fades and constant praise is unrealistic. Even so, she accepted that truth calmly. Gripping the microphone, she thought about how excitement can dull over time. Parts of the audience already seemed restless. A brief doubt crossed her mind about whether performing would eventually bore them. Rather than stop, she pushed her voice forward with force. Sound echoed across the hall, and the crowd responded with raised lights and renewed cheers. Mid-performance, her footing slipped and her body lurched forward. Pain shot through her as the rhythm faltered for a moment. Forcing a steady breath, she tightened her grip on the microphone and pushed herself upright. Doubt crept in as she faced the vast crowd. Although many still supported her, sharp criticism echoed louder in her mind. The weight of expectation pressed heavily on her chest. Voices from the audience shouted about mistakes and effort, cutting through the music. Each remark struck harder than the last. Suddenly, a powerful supporter roared above the noise, demanding unwavering loyalty. His cry reignited the crowd's energy. Shock spread across the crowd as the captain suddenly appeared. The white mage stared in disbelief while he stepped forward with fierce determination. Without hesitation, he raised his weapon and declared a bold dance of encouragement. A companion joined him, and their energy surged toward the stage. Tears welled in his eyes as he questioned why she looked at him with renewed hope. Behind her, supporters waved banners high above the crowd. Facing the roaring audience, he admitted that her singing and dancing had strengthened his heart. Though he doubted understanding idols, conviction filled his voice. Gripping his weapon tightly, he proclaimed that her brilliance gave him strength to live for tomorrow. The captain shouted that he would continue supporting her to repay the inspiration he received. His fierce declaration stunned the white mage and silenced the surrounding noise. Hearing those words, a memory surfaced from long ago. On a lonely day, she had watched an idol sing despite personal sadness. That performance had lifted her heart and drawn her in before she realized it. Admiration quietly took root within her. She understood. Then that becoming number one was never her true wish. What she desired was to stand as an idol herself. With renewed resolve, she smiled brightly and declared her aim to encourage children just as she had once been encouraged. Confetti rained over the stage as she sang with reckless joy. Only later did she realize the dream she chased had already come true. Smiling through sweat and tears, she vowed to keep performing as long as even one fan wanted her. The crowd answered with raised hands and shining lights. Among them, the captain laughed proudly, certain that at least one supporter would always remain. She reached forward, promising to continue no matter what happened. After the festival ended, the empty stage stood quiet, away from the lights. The captain accepted his place as nothing more than a devoted fan. As he prepared to leave with his companion, a voice suddenly called out for him to wait, near the empty venue. She stopped the two men and called out firmly. Leaning against the railing, she mocked them for their reckless devotion, though her eyes held relief. Tuma smiled calmly while the captain admitted he could not stay broken because of his friend. Their bond stood unchanged, despite everything. Hearing this, she teased them lightly, yet curiosity slipped through. She asked what they intended to do next. After scolding their embarrassing behavior, she shyly praised their support. Her voice softened as she adjusted her cap. Finally, she laughed warmly and told them that being her fan was more than enough. A crow cried from a high post as dusk settled in a quiet chamber. A young woman looked at a glowing orb and reflected on the girl's bright expressions. Heavy footsteps echoed down a corridor. A cloaked figure advanced, suggesting that idols might be the ones truly saving people. Inside the hall, Tuma stood near the orb while the seated woman remained calm. Though she acknowledged the girl's positivity, she refused to accept him. Before her desk, another woman pledged that the party would collapse without fail. The promise carried quiet certainty. With a confident smile, the noble woman declared her name and swore her vow, setting a new scheme in motion.
4 disciples of Ice-chan were known as the Apostles of Temptation. Battles with Dain, Koyuki-chan, and Nosfera had already ended. Yet the white mage who joined the party still threatened the group's stability. Days after the fight with Nosfera, the protagonist received apology gifts. Inside were VIP tickets and fan club honors. His phone soon vibrated with new messages. Many things had happened recently, and Ganoff appeared extremely pleased. Later, the protagonist returned to the snowy town and walked toward the guild entrance. Inside, 3 girls suddenly gathered and pushed forward a new request involving a special ingredient. Inside the guild hall, a man explained a seasonal tradition. At this time of year, women often prepared a sweet called angel cacao. One girl casually mentioned an old story claiming chocolate once served as a religious tribute. Another quickly rejected the exaggerated explanation and insisted the meaning was simpler. The man clarified that women usually gave sweets to friends, lovers, and others. For many men, the day brought nervous expectations. The protagonist showed little interest. Watching him closely, the man suspected a hidden reason behind that reaction. 2 girls explained the tradition more seriously. One mentioned that Koyuki intended to offer a special true love chocolate to Tuma. Soon after, the 2 girls faced each other with tense expressions, while Tuma quietly drank from his mug between them. Frustration appeared as one girl reflected on their original role of charming men, while another complained about being affected by one. A different girl suddenly suggested making sweets for everyone who had helped her. The idea surprised the others. Tuma imagined the situation with mild confusion, while the men around him reacted with excitement. At the guild table, a mischievous girl asked whether the master wanted chocolate. With a playful smile, she hinted at casting a strange enchantment. Her teasing continued while the man listened with slight confusion. A quiet laugh followed as the mood turned suspicious. Soon, the girl proudly declared a plan to obtain angel cacao and force Clay to beg for chocolate. The bold idea shocked the others. Tuma and the man reacted with surprise, while Ganoff calmly continued eating and offered a simple suggestion. Ganoff explained that Nosfera usually handed out chocolates at fairs each year, making the situation seem less unusual. 2 girls realized that Nosfera might also give chocolate to Tuma. Determination appeared as neither wanted to lose in this strange competition. Another girl confidently decided to use the event to charm the party leader, believing men easily became excited during occasions like this. The group soon prepared to leave town. Tuma sensed something troublesome developing but followed along. Their destination was the forest dungeon located in Yanomi Forest. Upon arrival, the area was crowded with people. Many adventurers had gathered, most likely searching for ingredients needed to make chocolate. The group heard about a noblewoman known as Lady Attain, called the Maiden of Sword and Love. Around this season, a count's daughter regularly issued large harvesting requests. People described her as admirable and deeply devoted to charity. Tuma learned she had also donated large sums to the church. Realizing the purpose, Tuma understood she purchased massive amounts of cacao to show devotion to the goddess. However, the group suddenly suspected something troubling. The possibility that she might be another party crusher caused alarm. Further discussion revealed her guards were former adventurers. Tuma quietly wondered if they had been gathered through her disruptive influence. The group considered Lady Attain's actions. From one view, Parties that lost members might see her influence as troublesome. Yet outsiders could regard her as a fair noble. One girl quietly questioned whether using seduction on privileged people was too extreme. Meanwhile, the men remained confident. They believed their bonds would not easily break. Tuma suggested focusing on harvesting cacao first. Around them, many adventurers moved deeper into the forest to gather ingredients. Suddenly, a loud roar echoed through the woods. A massive creature appeared, scattering cacao pods across the area and turning the calm harvest into chaos. In the forest, the girl realized the situation was worsening. Too many adventurers rushed toward the cacao trees, and the fruit could not grow back quickly enough. Concern spread among the group. If they failed to gather enough cacao, the plan for Koyuki and the others would fall apart. Tuma quickly moved forward and spotted another treant still carrying fruit. However, a crowd of adventurers suddenly charged toward the same target, pushing others aside and creating chaos. Amid the rush, Tuma was struck and thrown away. As he fell, someone rushed to heal him while the group shouted in alarm. Tuma quickly realized his mistake. After lowering his guard around him, adventurers were violently pushed away as chaos spread across the forest. Suddenly, the enormous tree revealed itself as a treant. Angered by the disturbance, the creature began attacking everyone nearby. Seeing other adventurers flee, Tuma understood the opportunity. With fewer rivals remaining, the fruit could finally be secured. The girls moved into action. One prepared support magic, while another stepped forward to confront the monster directly. Moments later, powerful water magic descended from above, striking the treant and beginning the battle to claim the precious cacao fruit. The girls quickly supported the fight. One prepared intermediate ice magic, while another gathered energy, determined to assist Tuma. The spell struck the treant and froze its movements. With the monster immobilized, the team prepared to finish the task. Tuma and the others rushed forward and began cutting the cacao fruit loose. Nearby carts were quickly filled as pods scattered across the ground. Soon the group confirmed they had gathered plenty of cacao. Without hesitation, Tuma ordered the retreat. While the others wondered if they should gather more, the team quickly left the forest with their haul. After collecting the cacao, Tuma chose not to defeat the weakened treant. He understood the creature guarded the forest, and destroying it would disrupt the balance of the area. The others soon realized his intention. By taking only what was necessary, more people could still gather cacao later. While the group moved away, some companions quietly praised Tuma's kindness and leadership. Meanwhile, one girl formed her own plan. As the chocolate festival approached, she prepared to use the event to charm the party leader.
At the Guild Tavern, Tuma waits on Valentine's Day, feeling uneasy despite the festive mood around him. A letter from Nosferatu instructs the party to remain there, stopping him from leaving to look for chocolate. His companions accept the order without protest. Before long, a woman with bat-like accessories appears and draws attention. She notes Tuma's popularity while keeping her identity concealed. Suspicion rises as her connection to Nosferatu becomes obvious. The group realizes who stands before them. Disorder follows when a familiar muffler exposes her link to Tuma, leaving her visibly flustered. Nosferatu denies any special preparation, claiming she simply wore what she had. Her flushed expression suggests otherwise as the party studies her reaction. Standing before Tuma, she regains composure. He asks about the chocolate event, and her confidence slowly returns. With a proud smile, she reveals a small wrapped box. The gift is handmade, prepared carefully after causing trouble for the group. Tuma accepts it gratefully, yet their large companion suddenly offers an extravagant chocolate of his own, disrupting the moment. After requesting secrecy, Nosferatu departs. Behind her, the others argue, while one member treasures the chocolate like a priceless heirloom. At the tavern table, the gentleman in a bow tie struggles to contain his frustration. He lowers his head and questions the unfairness of the situation. Emotion suddenly overwhelms him, and he loudly denies being favored by popular women. His outburst draws attention from those nearby. An elf girl named Diane steps forward, criticizing human obsession with appearance. Her calm judgment contrasts with his dramatic reaction. Moments later, he impulsively grabs her as she speaks. Though startled, she allows it without resisting. The scene ends in chaos as they tumble awkwardly together, leaving him shaken while she remains oddly composed. Diane leans back with a teasing smile, boldly testing Clay's reaction. Her confident posture leaves him stunned while the others watch in disbelief. Realization follows as her disguise becomes clear. The gentleman behind her reacts sharply, yet she remains unfazed. With playful intent, she presents a shoe-shaped chocolate and offers it provocatively. Clay's composure begins to crumble under the pressure. Overcome by temptation, he drops to his knees and begs for a taste. Diane observes him calmly from above. Embarrassment spreads across her face as she grants permission out of pity, quietly labeling his behavior as pathetic. Tuma and his companion reflect on the earlier chaos, deciding it is acceptable as long as everyone involved is satisfied. Their relief is brief as a sudden commotion echoes through the hall. A flustered woman struggles to push a massive wrapped object inside, calling out to Tuma with urgency. The sheer size of it shocks those nearby. A tall warrior announces he stayed up all night to complete a special chocolate for Tuma. The heavy creation gleams with pride as he insists it be accepted. Overwhelmed, Tuma kneels in thanks while wondering how to carry such an enormous gift home. Another delivery arrives immediately, presenting an even larger heart-patterned box, leaving Tuma stunned. The heart-patterned box begins to melt, and Tuma senses trouble. From within emerges Koyuki, dressed boldly and presenting herself as chocolate meant for him. His companions stare in shock as she confidently explains her preparation. Tuma hesitates while the delivery is formally acknowledged. With cheerful determination, Koyuki declares that this day is hers to be received, and demands a return for her feelings. She suddenly launches at him, creating a burst of icy force. Tuma scrambles aside while the cold spreads across the floor. After the chaos settles, Tuma reflects calmly, realizing that through these overwhelming moments, they have all changed and grown. Inside the guild, the party gathers amid lingering chaos. Despite the earlier turmoil, they now resemble a proper adventurer team, standing together with unusual unity. Tuma questions why they are still at the guild when another voice announces a late arrival. The doors open once more, interrupting his doubts. A cheerful girl enters carrying a basket, offering chocolate as gratitude to everyone who supports her. Her bright energy fills the room instantly. She explains the treat contains a powerful ingredient, proudly claiming it grants extreme stamina. The claim unsettles Tuma. Encouraged by his companions, Tuma accepts it with resolve, realizing their bonds have strengthened through the chaos. Tuma shouts at his companions as two of them collapse in wild excitement from the chocolate's effects. Their delusions spiral while he desperately demands they regain control. Before he can calm them, a sudden crowd gathers inside the guild. Heavy footsteps approach, drawing everyone's attention. A composed woman steps forward and greets the adventurers with a confident smile. Her presence immediately silences the room. She announces Valentine's Day and praises the party for protecting the holy capital. Guards stand behind her as authority fills the hall. To show gratitude, she presents an elegant case of chocolate. The stunned adventurers can only stare as yet another gift is added to the growing pile. The guild erupts in cheers as Lady Aten walks through the hall. Adventurers whisper in awe while she advances calmly toward the center of the room. Seeing several members collapsed in confusion, she raises a hand and casts a spell that clears their minds instantly. Order returns as the spell takes effect. The source of the chaos is revealed to be tainted chocolate. Atienne replaces it with her own refined gift and advises caution. Humbled by the praise directed at her, she modestly deflects the admiration. The party watches with renewed respect. Finally, she turns her attention to Tuma, confirming his identity as tension quietly rises. Lady Atienne informs Tuma that the reputation of White Oath has reached her noble house. As a count's daughter, she approaches him formally. With steady confidence, she expresses her desire to join the upcoming joint raid. Surprised yet attentive, Tuma realizes their next mission will involve powerful allies. Athenes Ianrad, Vados gained fame across the kingdom for her intelligence, military talent, and kindness toward the poor, while caring for her sick younger brother. Despite countless marriage offers, she remained unmarried because nobody could match her abilities or ambitions. During a public gathering, Athenes requested help from adventurers to save her brother using the rare treasure hidden inside the deadly Diankiga dungeon. The reward would appear again in 2 weeks, drawing attention from many fighters hoping to claim it. Athenes then revealed the treasure was a secret medicine capable of curing every disease. Then Athenes gathered adventurers and promised 300 million gold to whoever recovered the secret medicine hidden inside the dangerous dungeon. Excitement quickly spread across the hall as many people dreamed about becoming rich enough to stop working forever. Some even began planning new homes and peaceful lives, although several adventurers praised Athenes for trying to save her younger brother. Others questioned whether her true intentions were really that simple. Tuma and his companions immediately noticed how suspicious the mission sounded. They believed the enormous reward and sudden request could easily hide a deadly trap. Despite every warning, Tuma chose to participate because he could not ignore the suffering of Athenes' sick brother. Koyuki explained that Athenes' younger brother suffered from a disease so severe that even powerful healing magic could not cure it. Hearing that, Tuma decided the mission was no longer only about money because saving a life carried greater meaning for an adventurer. Inspired by his determination, several companions immediately volunteered to join the dangerous expedition into the dungeon. Although Koyuki worried about the risks ahead, she still chose to accompany the group to prevent them from getting themselves killed. As the preparations continued, Koyuki quietly realized that following Tuma into the mission would become far more troublesome than expected. Tuma and Maria decided to participate in the mission, while Athenes quietly observed the growing number of volunteers with satisfaction. Athenes warned everyone that Denkiga was an extremely dangerous dungeon, where even experienced adventurers could easily lose their lives. To avoid unnecessary deaths, she announced that only selected participants would be allowed to join after passing an interview at her estate. Her passionate speech convinced many adventurers that risking their lives was worthwhile if it meant saving an innocent person. Although the mission resembled walking into certain danger, Tuma accepted the challenge and prepared himself for whatever awaited inside the dungeon. Determined to join the expedition, Tuma made his decision without listening to the remaining doubts around him. On the interview day, he arrived alone before the massive Ionrad, Vados mansion prepared for the chosen participants. The luxurious building immediately caught his attention, reminding him how different noble life was from ordinary adventurers. Even so, caution remained in his mind because previous encounters with dangerous companions had taught him never to relax completely. Inside the mansion, several servants politely welcomed Tuma and guided him through the grand hall where the interview would soon begin. While waiting for the interview, Tuma was politely asked to rest until Lady Athenes finished her preparations. The mansion staff then offered him access to the estate's luxurious bathhouse, and repeated encouragement eventually convinced him to accept. Steam filled the enormous bath as Tuma relaxed for the first time since arriving at the noble estate. His calm quickly disappeared after several maids suddenly surrounded him and began washing his body without warning. Embarrassment overwhelmed Tuma as he struggled to remain composed, knowing the situation tested his self-control far more than any dungeon battle. Panic suddenly filled the bathhouse after Tuma accidentally lost control and sent one of the maids flying across the room. Taking the chance to escape the embarrassing situation, he hurriedly left the bath while the shocked maids watched him disappear. Relief only lasted a moment before the mansion's butler appeared and informed Tuma that Lady Athenes was already waiting for him. Still wrapped in a towel, Tuma followed the butler through the mansion and entered a formal reception room prepared for the interview. Athenes calmly welcomed him with tea, while Tuma sat down cautiously and wondered what kind of person she truly was. While drinking tea with Athenes, Tuma decided her hidden intentions no longer mattered, as long as the mission could save a life. During their conversation, she calmly explained that the maids in the bathhouse had volunteered to serve the guests on their own. Athenes then teased Tuma, after hearing rumors that he had enjoyed the mixed bathing much more than expected. Suspicion immediately crossed Tuma's mind, leading him to wonder if Ice had secretly informed Athenes about the incident. Unable to ignore the possibility, Tuma carefully questioned Athenes while trying to hide his growing embarrassment and confusion. Athenes admitted she knew about Tuma's identity, but she assured him that harming someone valuable like him would only be a waste. Hearing those words, Tuma realized Athenes viewed him as an important person, rather than an ordinary adventurer. With a calm smile, Athenes revealed she recognized Tuma as a famous hero whose reputation had already spread widely.